There we go. All right. Good afternoon. This is the matter of Alt v. Alt, case number 25-01891-DO. Present in the virtual courtroom, we have both parties along with their respective attorneys. Attorney Rachel Terpstra on behalf of the defendant, Ms. Alt, and Attorney Beth Spencer on behalf of the plaintiff, Mr. Alt. We are here for a divorce trial in this matter. And it's my understanding that as a preliminary issue, Ms. Spencer, you have a motion.
Yes, Your Honor. My client has asked that we adjourn the hearing today due to a number of kind of ongoing circumstances. Obviously, there was previously the bankruptcy, which necessitated the adjournment in January. That stay has now been lifted, although if you refer to, I believe it is exhibit, I want to say X maybe, of the defendant's exhibits showing the stay being lifted. Could be wrong about that number. It's been lifted, but with some restrictions that the court can't order that property be refinanced, sold, or disposed of, sort of pending approval from the bankruptcy court. So I guess anything that we kind of do today is subject to the oversight of the bankruptcy court. And so with that kind of going on, and then in addition, my client reports that there are a number of investigations into claims he's made related to the filing of taxes without his knowledge, and related to the cashing out of his retirement plans without his knowledge, which testimony on that would be taken today to kind of flesh that out, but that there are investigations going on and that he would like those to have an opportunity to be completed before the trial on this matter starts.
Ms. Terpstra.
We would oppose any further delays on this matter. As the court is well aware, this has had several issues and delays with replacement attorneys and the filing in the final minutes before trial of his bankruptcy. My client is ready to have this matter behind her and is not willing to delay, or not willing certainly to agree to an adjournment at this point.
All right, thank you. The court has been very clear that there would be no further delays of this matter. There have been delays attributable to the plaintiff. He certainly had plenty of time to get discovery and all of that done before now. And the scheduling order is very clear about exhibits and witnesses and lists and when they're due. None of that's been provided. So I will deny the request for the adjournment and we'll go forward.
I actually object to that, Your Honor.
Sir, you have an attorney. You don't get to object.
Well, how can I talk to her when I'm not here?
Well,
I just received.
Sir, Mr. Alt, stop. I can put you in a breakout room so you can confer with your attorney, but I've made my ruling.
I would like to do that.
Okay. We can stop recording. We can stop the live stream. Ms. Spencer, you're the plaintiff or representing the plaintiff. Would you like to call your first witness? First of all, are the parties willing to waive their opening statements?
I'm fine with that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Spencer, would you call your first witness, please?
Yes, I would call Bob Alt.
All right. Mr. Alt, would you unmute and raise your right hand, please? Great. Would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Bob Alt, B-O-B-A-L-T.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Spencer.
Bob, we're going to start with a little bit of background information for you. Can you tell me what your current address is?
Drive.
And is that the house that we are going to be talking about dividing as part of the marital estate today?
Yes.
Okay. What is your current occupation?
Pipe fitter.
And who do you work for?
B&V Mechanical.
Are you working full-time right now?
Yes.
Now, recently, if I understand correctly, you were on disability. Is that correct?
Yes, from a car accident.
Okay. When did that car accident happen?
July of 22.
And are you still receiving any kind of disability right now?
Yep, I'm on a trial work period.
Okay.
For
How
a few
long is the
months.
trial?
Well, it says 9 months, but I'm not sure.
Okay. How's it going so far?
Good.
Now, as a result of that car accident, did you sustain any injuries or do you have any current medical issues that impact your ability to testify about the facts that we're going to be talking about today?
No, I can testify.
And you've heard that there have been some allegations about, whether you've signed things and not remembered, or if there was a head injury that was part of your car accident. Have you heard those allegations?
I have.
And is there any truth to that?
There's not.
Did you sustain a head injury?
I did. It caused me to lose hearing in my right ear.
And go ahead, sorry.
The defendant was saying that I signed all those documents and just couldn't remember. Her attorney's, Ms. Sturp's words, I signed them whether I remembered them or not. First, they were saying I couldn't remember anything.
Hold on.
Okay,
Wait
Mr.
till
Alt,
I answer.
Mr. Alt, you need to wait for her to ask you a question. You just can't talk, okay?
Yes.
So, to your knowledge, you have not suffered any injury that has impacted your memory or anything like that?
No, I've had several MRIs and there's nothing wrong with my head. In 24, I took my real estate exam, passed it the first time. I went back to work after 3 years and I'm doing fine. There's nothing wrong with my memory as they claim.
Cool. Now we're going to start going through the marital assets that have been listed here. I'm going to start with the house. When did you buy your house?
In 2002,
And do you recall what you purchased it for in 2002?
160.
And at any point between 2002 and we'll say 2022, when there was a refinance, did you have to refinance at any other point during that time?
Yeah, I refinanced in my first divorce.
Okay. And do you recall approximately when that would have been?
Not really. I'm not sure what exact year it was.
Okay. But you had to refinance to buy your first wife's equity of for the house?
Right. To
Okay.
remove her from it.
Okay. Now in 2020, it looks like pursuant to, and I'm going to pull the exact exhibit number here, Exhibit C, Defendant's Exhibit C, that it looks as if you executed a quitclaim deed that deeded your house to you and to then Miss Andrus, the defendant. Do you recall doing that?
No, I do not.
To your knowledge, was there ever a quitclaim deed that was recorded with the Register of Deeds?
No, I am the only one on the deed.
And can you think of any circumstances under which it would have been appropriate to add her to the deed in 2020?
Absolutely not.
There were no investments in the
There
house at
was
that
no
point.
anything.
Now, at some point, did the two of you start making investments into the house and into improvements?
We did. I finished the basement and we did some of the other flooring and stuff in the
And
upstairs.
was that done during the marriage?
That was done during the marriage.
Okay. So you understand that from a legal perspective that there is some commingling that has gone on here, correct?
I'm all about this being fair, but
Okay.
the money used to fix the house up was from refinancing and using the equity of the house, which is my equity for the fixing it up, which she transferred funds to her accounts to make it look like she paid for everything.
So what you're saying is in 2022, you did a cash out refinance, correct?
Yes.
And if we look at Defendant's Exhibit G, that lists, it looks like a number of additional expenses that were kind of paid off when you did the refinancing. So in addition to the mortgage loan, It looks like there was a Capital One account that was, or maybe a couple Capital One accounts and a revolving account and an installment loan, city card debt, Grand River, mortgage, like probably a second mortgage to Grand River, and then an additional United Bank and Wells Fargo account that was paid off. Is that right?
I'm not sure what was all paid off.
Do you recall the intention at the point that you did the refinancing? Was it to try to get out from under some unsecured debt?
No, it's what she talked me into. It was very stupid. I had a very low interest loan mortgage, and she wanted to do this, obviously, to try to do what she's doing now. We paid off her Suburban. We paid off a credit card I had from being in the hospital.
Okay. So some of these debts that are represented in Exhibit G are not entirely your debts. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly.
Okay. Do you recall which debts would have belonged to the defendant?
There were credit cards and there was a Suburban.
Do you know what debt you would have had at
I
that
had
time?
2 credit cards.
2 credit cards. Do you know who your credit cards were with?
I think one was a Harley Visa and one was my Cabela's card.
And I am not seeing those listed on the list of kind of direct payments that the title company would have made. Is it possible that you would have paid that with additional funds that you obtained from the refinancing?
Yes.
Okay. So the refinancing in 2022 added the defendant onto the mortgage. Is that correct?
Yes.
And was that I guess whose idea was that?
It was hers.
Were any funds given to you to either to try to buy into the equity of the house at that time, or funds given to you to make improvements to the house at that time?
No.
Now, the defendant has represented through an appraisal, which is Exhibit D, that at the time of the refinancing, that your house was worth approximately $250,000. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm not sure what it was worth. I mean,
And I'm sorry, I said at the time of refinancing. It looks like this appraisal is from 2020. That the value in 2020 was 250,000.
yeah, I mean, I didn't look at that appraisal.
Do you know why you would have obtained an appraisal in 2020?
I don't know. I don't know why she did that.
Is it your position that you didn't request the appraisal?
Yes.
Okay, now it looks like it was requested in connection with a loan from Grand River Bank. Is it possible that you took out some kind of a home equity loan in 2020?
Yeah, that was her doing again. She wanted that money and she took that money. That was more money that we put into the house, and she put it in her account when we got that money.
Okay, do you remember how much money you would have gotten?
I think it was 25,000, maybe.
Okay,
I'm not sure. I think it was.
a $25,000 home equity loan?
Yeah.
Okay, and to your knowledge, what was that money used for?
Going fixing up the house. I did the
Okay.
basement and stuff.
And then again in 2022, you file another or you do another refinancing. You consolidate all of your loans. Did you cash out money at that time too?
Yes.
Do you remember how much cash you got at that point?
I don't really.
Is there any truth to, I believe the defendant's claiming that she paid the closing costs associated with, I think, the 2020 loan. Is that to your recollection as well?
No. She did not pay it.
Who paid those costs?
I did.
Now, is it possible that they would have been issued, or that the cost would have been paid pursuant to a check written by the defendant?
Yes.
Why would that happen?
To make it look like she paid everything.
Why would you agree to that, though?
I didn't.
Well, I mean, you presented a check, right, to Grand River for financing or for the loan, or for refinancing even in 2022. So you're presenting at that point, right, the defendant's check. Why would you do that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really even remember doing that. I thought the monies were taken right into the loan.
Okay. Okay. Now, with regard to the house, what would you like to see happen with it?
I would like to keep the house.
You would like to
It's
keep it.
been my
Okay.
house. I mean, it's my equity. We were married 3.5 years when I filed. She's committed all kinds of fraud. There's 2 separate investigations open right now. One from the
I'm gonna object, facts not in evidence.
IRS criminal
Hold on.
Sir,
department.
Stop.
I'm gonna tell you again, please don't go off when you're asked a question. Limit yourself to the question, okay?
So you would like to keep the house, and you mentioned earlier that you don't have any problem with I think you said fairness. Any problem with fairness? What do you see as a fair result, given the improvements that were made to the house? What is a fair amount of equity that should be awarded to the defendant?
Well, a fair amount. I don't think I owe her any money. I can show hundreds of thousands of dollars that she's withheld from me, not to mention the cash out of my 401s and all this other stuff.
Again, I'm gonna object, again, facts not in evidence.
I'll
I have
sustain it.
facts.
Sir, you need to restrain yourself to Ms. Spencer's question, okay?
So I'm not asking you to talk about kind of your global view of the divorce. I'm talking just specifically about the house. Is there an amount of equity in the house, even if you think it might be offset somewhere else? Is there an amount of equity in the house that you think is fair to award to the defendant?
I don't really think she has equity in this house.
Okay. So you think the fair result would be to just award you the house free and clear?
Yes.
And you understand that comes with substantial amount of debt at this point, correct?
More debt than I've ever had.
And can you tell me approximately how much is it that you guys owe on the house today?
It's roughly 350,000. She quit making the mortgage payment and put it in forbearance, so it was 45,000 behind when
Again,
I
I'm gonna
realized
object,
this.
same objection.
Mr.
That's
Alt,
about debt
Mr.
on the
Alt,
house,
hold on.
right?
You have an attorney. Let her lead you through the questions and stop talking about more than what
Well,
she's.
that's part of the debt
I understand, but let your
owed
attorney
on the
lead you
house.
through, otherwise none of us are gonna be able to follow, okay?
Well, I'm trying.
So just focusing today, the amount that's owed total on the mortgage, how much is that?
It's roughly 350. They
And-
haven't got back with me on that.
Okay, and was there an amount of an arrearage that was owed on the mortgage?
45,000.
And how did that come to be?
Because she put the mortgage in forbearance, lied and said there was a hardship when there
I'm
was
gonna
no
object.
hardship. I was making 100 grand a year and she
Hold
was
on.
making 140.
Mr. Alt, you need to
150.
stop when there is an objection, and again, please restrain yourself to the question that Ms. Spencer asked. I know she's a good lawyer. She'll get the information you want out, but it has to come out in an organized fashion, all right? Let's try this again, Ms. Spencer.
So it's your position or your understanding that the mortgage payment was not getting made, correct?
Correct.
And at some point, did you become aware that there was a forbearance?
Yes.
Did you sign any paperwork related to requesting that forbearance?
No, I knew nothing
How-
about it.
How did you become aware of it?
Because I called the mortgage company.
Do you recall any conversations with the defendant about requesting a forbearance?
Never.
Was there any, I guess, to your knowledge, when did the forbearance begin?
March of 24, she quit making the payment. Round Point took it over roughly in June.
Okay, so in the last mortgage payment that was made was around March of
March of
2024?
24.
Okay. Was there anything going on in March of 24 that would kind of constitute a financial emergency that would prevent you from making mortgage payments?
Nothing.
Were
I
you,
was
hold on,
off.
hold on, hold on. I will get there, I promise. Were you working at that time?
I was not. I was in an auto accident and was being paid by farmers. My claim was 100 grand a year for 3 years.
So you were out of work, but you were still collecting lost wages. Is that what that would constitute, lost wages?
Yes.
And that was from your insurance company?
Yes.
Okay. During that time, was the defendant working?
Yes.
And what was your understanding of her income at that time?
Roughly 150 a year. I mean, it varied. I mean, some
Okay.
years it was more.
And when you say 150 a year, would that be the amount that she would get 1099 and then have to pay taxes on that 150 a year?
Probably.
So to your knowledge, though, there wasn't a financial circumstance that would necessitate forbearance in March of 2024.
No, there was not.
Okay. I think I will at this point move on to the retirement accounts because I think the timing kind of connects up here. To your understanding, when were your retirements cashed out?
When?
Just were they cashed out?
Yes, they were.
And what retirement accounts did you have that were cashed out?
It was my pension account through Local 174 and my pension account through Local 275.
Okay.
Two separate unions. They were
Okay.
union pensions, not bank accounts.
And would those pensions be the result of work, years worked during the marriage?
No, they actually were not. The Local 275, I think I left that local in like 08. So that was way before the marriage. And that one was cashed out. It was roughly $60,000. So
Okay.
then 174 is the local I'm in now. And that was also cashed out. It was around 25,000.
Now, the local 174 that you're working for right now, would there have been some period that you were working there during the marriage?
Well, we were married in July of 21. My accident was July of 22. During that time, I was off work for a shoulder surgery that I had workman's comp. I was hurt at work. And then I worked roughly 2-3 months, and then I was in a car accident. So maybe a couple months.
Okay. But aside from those couple of months, those two pensions would not have been attributable to work done during the marriage.
Exactly.
And now, currently, do you have any retirement accounts?
No, I mean, I'll get money into the 174 again.
Now that you're working now, you mean?
Now that I'm working, yeah.
Okay. Have you seen paperwork that was completed related to cashing out those retirement accounts?
Yes.
Do you recall signing that paperwork?
I didn't sign any of it. I've never seen it until I requested that they send it to me.
Now, when did you become aware that those accounts were empty?
After she filed the PPO on me and I started looking through stuff.
So during this divorce process?
Yes.
Okay. Did you try to contact the retirement companies to figure out what was going on with the money?
Yes, I contacted both of them. They explained to me how she
Nope,
cashed
just
them.
there, hold on, you gotta limit it to that because I don't want to hear what somebody else told you. Um, so you did contact the companies and did you request copies of the paperwork that was completed?
Yes,
Did you review that paperwork?
yes,
Had you ever seen it before?
no,
Did you recognize any signatures associated with the paperwork?
yes, I recognize all the signatures.
Okay, and let's talk talk first about what things had to be signed. Were there things that were purported to be signed by you?
Yes, there was several that were supposedly signed by me. Several, the whole
And
thing.
and were there documents that were supposedly or purportedly signed by the defendant?
Yes,
Why would the defendant have to sign off on the paperwork?
because she signed off on all her rights to any pension monies,
Because she
giving
was your
up her
spouse.
rights because she's my spouse.
Okay. Did those signatures from the defendant look familiar to you?
Yes,
Did your signatures, to your view, match how you sign documents?
no,
Okay. Um, did you ever get a chance to talk with the defendant about this, or was that impossible because of
it was
the people?
impossible.
Okay. Um, now again, talking about fairness here, what is your position on what should happen with those retirement account balances?
They should be reinstated as if they were never touched.
And so you're asking essentially for credit for those two account balances that were cashed out.
Exactly. Right.
Do you have any idea what happened with the money once it was cashed out?
Yes, I do. She deposited in a joint checking account and then transferred the monies to her personal accounts, business and other accounts from the
Did
joint checking.
during that time, and again, this is, if I'm correct in understanding, in March of 2024, is that right?
Yes,
Did you guys have any extraordinary expenses associated with trips or like vacations or anything like that?
no,
Did you guys buy any kind of property or expensive items, boats, snowmobiles, those kinds of things?
oh, we bought a horse for her daughter and a couple cars for her daughter during, those years. That was about it.
You said a horse?
Yes,
And is this a horse
actually
that,
two horses.
so you bought two horses for the defendant's daughters?
Yes, for one daughter.
Who owns those horses now?
They were gifted to her.
Okay. And then you said cars? How many cars were purchased?
There was two
And who were those cars for?
for her daughter.
Her daughter again. Okay. Did you have any understanding where the money for those purchases was coming from?
Just out of our savings. I mean, I didn't
Okay.
keep good track. I mean, I didn't check our bank accounts all the time. I actually trusted her.
Okay. So we've talked about the retirement accounts. Let's get into the vehicles here really quick. There's a 2015 Lexus, correct?
Yes,
And is that in both of your names?
yes,
And is it your position that vehicle should be awarded to the defendant?
sure.
And that's been her primary transportation, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Um, do you drive a 22 Silverado 1500?
I do.
How much do you think that vehicle is worth?
Around 30.
And how much do you owe on it?
Around 30.
And are those numbers consistent with what you would have listed in, I have it titled EXX, which is, I think these were the additional exhibits that were provided, the bankruptcy petition.
Yeah,
So
that's
those numbers are consistent with what you put in your bankruptcy petition?
yes,
Okay. So you believe that essentially that your truck has no value right now?
right.
And who's on the loan for the truck?
Just me,
And who's on the title for the truck?
just me.
Um, what about this 2008 Harley Davidson? When did you buy that?
Oh, several years before I even knew her. I bought it as a wrecked bike, for $2,800.
Okay. Um, once you buy I mean, was this bought on a salvage title, I assume?
Yes,
Okay. So once you buy something that's been in a wreck, I imagine you have to put a lot of time and money into fixing it up. Is that fair to say?
yep.
Um, do you recall kind of what you would have done to this bike
I've
to fix it?
done all the tins, everything, powder coated stuff. Went through the whole bike basically.
And when did you do that?
Before we were married. I mean, I was already riding that bike. It was already fixed.
Now, do you recall making some improvements to the bike during the marriage?
I put a motor in it,
How much did that motor cost you?
around 8 grand.
Okay. How much do you think that bike is worth today?
3,500, 4 grand.
So, and forgive me if I am not a motorcycle person, but so you put in an $8,000 motor within the last 3 years, but the bike you think is worth less than half of that now?
Yes,
How can that be?
because you don't get your money back out of accessories, fixing them
Um,
up.
and what you're referring to the accessory as the bike or as the motor?
As the motors.
Okay.
Any
Was this
accessories to add.
was the motor purchased brand new?
Yep,
So would this be the equivalent of sort of driving a car off the lot and it's not worth what you paid for it the
it
second
would.
you drive off the lot?
Right.
Okay. Um, now presumably you've seen the defendant has valued your Harley Davidson at about 15,000. Sounds like you disagree with that.
I do.
If the defendant wanted to keep keep that Harley as a $15,000 asset that would be in her column, would you support that?
Yes,
And why would that be?
because it's not even worth close to that.
Now, on your, I'm going to refer to Plaintiff's Exhibit A. You provided values for what you thought the bike was worth then. I believe you listed that it was worth between $6,000 and $8,000. Is that right?
Yes, that's with a clean title. A salvage title drops that down to roughly half to more.
Okay, so on your bankruptcy petition, am I correct in reading that you've listed the value of that bike at $3,500?
Yes,
Now, given the investment that was put into the bike during the marriage, do you agree that that $3,500 bike should be kind of considered marital property to be divided?
no.
No, you don't. You think that, what do you think is the fair thing to happen with that bike?
Well, seeing that I paid for her daughter's cars, we bought all that stuff, I think I should just be able to keep my bike.
Okay.
If she wants a couple grand for the motor, I'd be fine with that.
Okay, so you're saying essentially maybe put a couple $1,000 credit,
Sure.
it's a marital contribution. Okay. Um, next, let's talk about the 2017 Polaris snowmobile. When did you buy that?
2017.
And I'm looking for the exhibit here. I believe it's Exhibit R. Um, this this exhibit shows a temporary snowmobile registration for a 2021 Yamaha. Is that oh, sorry, we're talking about the Polaris first. So sorry, you bought the Polaris, you said in 2017?
Yep.
Okay. And did you at any point invest any sort of marital money into fixing up that Polaris snowmobile?
I did put a motor in that one too. It was like $2,800.
Okay. So do you think it would be fair to consider that $2,800 investment in the Polaris marital property?
Sure.
And then you understand that that would mean that you would have to buy the defendant's share of that out at $1,400.
Yep.
How about this, sorry, going back now to Exhibit R, the purchase of this 2021 Yamaha. Do you recall making that purchase?
Yes.
When did you buy it?
I purchased that one in 21, late 2021. I think I ordered it in 20. I think it was 21 when it came in.
Now, have you seen that the defendant has listed that as an item of her separate property?
Yes, and that's false.
Okay, so in 2021, who did you buy the snowmobile from?
From Platinum.
From Platinum Power Sports, and that's I believe the receipt on this exhibit shows that it was $16,600. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, because I put 500 down. I think it was a little over that. I put 500 down when I ordered it.
Okay. Now, whose name was put on the registration for the
My name.
snowmobile? And was it just your name, or did it have both you and the defendant on it?
Just my name.
Now, attached to Exhibit R is a picture of a deposit ticket that was made for a cashier's check in the amount of $16,600 from Vanessa Andrus.
Yeah, that was
You recall?
because I gave her cash out of my safe because you can't pay cash over $10,000. So she got a cashier's check for me to take to the dealership.
Now, why would you have had that kind of cash in your safe?
From buying and selling snowmobiles. I sold a truck. I had close to 50 grand in my safe.
Okay. And why would you do that from the defendant's account as opposed to yours?
Well, I gave her the cash to go get the check, and she did it in hers.
Okay. Okay. Now I want to contrast that with at the same time you would have purchased a snowmobile trailer, is that right?
Yes.
Now, the snowmobile trailer, do you recall how much you purchased that for?
Around 10 grand, 10, 11 grand.
Okay, and I'm referring to Defendant's Exhibit S on this one. S is in Sam. So you said it was around 10,000. Now, if I told you that the check that was issued was for $10,785.40, does that sound right to you?
Yes.
Now, who was put on the registration for that that trailer?
I'm sorry. Oh, that was the trailer.
Both of
Sorry,
us.
I'm sorry. You're going really efficiently and fast, but I missed that. It was what kind of a
Sorry.
trailer was it?
The snowmobile trailer.
Okay.
Yes. So who was put on the registration for the snowmobile trailer?
We both were.
And how did the payment for that trailer get made, that $10,000 payment?
With her checkbook.
And where did the money come from?
Well, I gave her cash out of my safe, and then she put some of her money towards it.
Now, on this exhibit, there's a picture of a check that was written on October 3rd of 2020 for this snowmobile trailer from Vanessa Andrus's account. And below her name, it lists your name, Bob Alt. Do you recall why that would have been?
Because we were both putting money into the trailer. We were both going to be on registration. I mean, we both put money into it.
Okay. Now, you agree then that that is entirely marital property that should be divided equitably by this court?
Yes.
Okay. Next I want to go to this 2004 Honda Quad. When did you buy that?
In 2004.
Has any money from the marriage been put into that?
No.
And so do you believe that that is entirely your separate property?
Yes.
What about the John Deere tractor?
We bought that during marriage, during COVID.
Do you recall how much you bought it for?
I think around 3,000.
Okay. And do you believe that that is entirely marital property that should be divided by this court equitably?
Yes.
How much do you think it's worth now?
I don't know. Maybe half what it was.
Is this an item that you want to keep, or do you agree that it should be sold and divided for whatever you can sell it for?
I just soon keep it.
So you would not, to be able to keep it, you would have to put some kind of a value on it. I believe that the defendant lists on their exhibit, I'm gonna say W. Yes, exhibit W. I believe that they have the value listed for John Deere tractor at $3,389.59.
Well,
Does
then
that sound right to you?
she could give me half of that and keep it.
If she wanted to keep it, you would take half of that.
Absolutely. I would not give her that for that.
Okay, so you agree then that she could be awarded that tractor with a value of $3,389.59.
Sure.
Okay. Am I missing any other vehicles, or for lack of a better word, toys here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Next I'm going to talk to you about this money that you would have received in potentially November or December of last year. Do you recall receiving a chunk of money from your union?
Yes, they back paid me on my pension that I was able to draw because I was approved for disability.
Okay.
So because of my situation of her cashing everything out and me having no money, my BA back paid me the pension monies from when my accident happened.
Okay, so let's go back just a second here to which union is this through?
174.
Okay, so that is the union that, by your estimation, there were maybe a couple months that you worked for the union during the marriage.
Yes.
And is your understanding that that is payment for lost wages?
No, it's not lost wages at all. It's pension monies.
Okay, now,
So when I went back to work, that stopped.
okay. So how much money did you get from that pension money
I think it was just under 30,000 after they took taxes.
after taxes? Okay, so I think on the bankruptcy petition, it was listed at, I want to say around 46,000. Does that sound right to you?
Before taxes.
Okay. Do you believe that the defendant has any entitlement to that money?
No.
Looking at the various credit card debts that are listed on the defendant's exhibit W, they have credit cards that or yeah, I think entirely credit cards that total about $11,500 for you and about $12,600 for the defendant. Do you agree that it would be a fair result for you each to take your own separate credit card debt?
Well, I mean, she changed the contact info on my cards and was using them without my knowledge. Plus, she opened a Discover card in my name that I've never seen before that I found out when I bought my truck.
I guess, what do you know about the Discover card?
The Discover card, when I bought my truck, they said was opened in 22.
Do you know any current balances?
Around 12 grand, I think.
Was this anything that would have been disclosed as part of the verified financial information forms? Do you know?
I mean, I put it on there, I think. I don't
Okay.
know what she did. I mean, I've never seen the card. Discover was
Alright.
calling me trying to get me to pay that, and I will not pay it.
Do you have statements coming to the house?
No. There are no statements
So how do you know that the defendant opened the card?
because it was in my name and she was using it. I've never seen the card.
Objection, facts not in evidence again.
I can rephrase the question here.
Please.
Have you ever seen the defendant use the Discover card?
I didn't. I didn't
Um,
know the card even existed.
So, but you believe that she was using it, correct?
Absolutely.
Why do you believe that?
Because it was to this address.
Okay, but you're not getting any statements for it?
Well, not now. I'm not. When she just left, I started getting stuff, and I'm like, this is not my card. When I came back to my house,
So you are getting
it may have.
statements.
Well, I did for a while, but I mean, now everything stopped. I told them
Okay.
to quit sending them to me, but with the bankruptcy, I mean,
And
I don't
was
get
that
any.
debt, was that debt included on your bankruptcy petition?
That was not my debt. That's her debt.
But I thought you just said that it was in your name though,
It
correct?
is, yeah, it is in my name.
So did you include it on the bankruptcy petition because it's in your name?
Yes.
And would that be the entry, it looks like 4.3 for it says
I don't have that.
10,000, and that's okay. I can read this to you. It says $10,216 for a Discover credit card. Does that sound like the one that you're talking about?
Yes.
And is that would I be correct in seeing that that is not represented in this Exhibit W of the credit card debts that are listed here?
Let's see if I can find it. Yes.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, can I request a very brief break?
Yes. 5 minutes, good?
So Bob, I think we left off talking about the debt where you're indicating essentially in this Exhibit W that there is a $10,000 Discover card that's not counted for. Is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't use that card.
Do you have any idea what it was used for?
I don't know what she used it for.
Now, do you understand that if it was incurred during the marriage, more likely than not, it would be considered a marital debt to be divided,
Even though I didn't know about it.
correct?
It was fraudulently opened.
Objection.
Sustained.
Would I be correct in understanding that you think that the division of marital debts should be equalized then to account for this additional $10,000 debt?
I don't agree with it. I mean, what happens, happens, I guess. I mean, I did not know about that card in any way.
Okay, let me phrase it another way then. Do you think that saying that you each keep the credit card debts that are in your name, do you think that that would be a fair division of debt?
So I get stuck with her debt.
It means that everything, all of the debt gets added up and, or sorry, that what they're proposing is that everything that is in your name would go to you and everything that is in her name would go to her. Do you think that that is a fair way to divide the debt? And
Absolutely not.
okay, can just be a yes or no question. So would it be more fair to you to take the debts and then either to try to get credit for this in another area, but in some way to try to equalize the division of debt?
Sure.
Okay. The next thing I want to ask you about is personal property. Do you believe that there is personal property that still needs to be divided?
No.
Why do you think that?
Well, she took all kinds of stuff out of the house. I mean, there's a table and the couch left. I
What
mean,
kinds of,
there's Most of my personal property was gone when I came back to my house. All my reloading stuff, I mean, everything was gone. Thousands and thousands of dollars of stuff.
Let's get into that a little bit. What things can you be specific about? What things you think were missing or were taken from the house?
Numerous bottles of powder, bullets, guns, hunting clothes, fishing stuff, rods, reels, tools out of my barn, stereo equipment out of the barn. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff missing.
Now, have you reviewed the list of personal property that the defendant attached to their trial brief would have been provided to you probably in December of the things that she's asking to be returned to her?
And most of that stuff is already gone. She emptied the house out when she left. She just
Okay.
took it.
So if I were to just looking at this list, that there was a Cobalt toolbox that was Vanessa's son and purchased in 2017. Is that something that's still there?
It is still there. She gave me that.
So you're saying that was a gift to you?
Yes.
Are there, let me maybe come at this from a different direction. Are there things in the house right now or on the property, not necessarily in the house, but things on the property that you think are clearly Vanessa's and that she should be able to come get?
No.
Okay, so nothing's left.
No, I mean, she more than took, I mean, she took everything she listed except the kitchen table. I mean, I don't think she should get anything else. She emptied the freezer. She took everything out of the house.
Okay. So, but as far as you're concerned, then personal property has been divided.
Well, mine is all gone.
Okay.
She's
Are there
taken it.
Are there things that you want that you believe that she has?
She claims she doesn't have anything.
Okay. Even still, are there things that you want that you believe she has?
There's guns. There's, I don't know what she did with all my reloading stuff. I mean, what would she do with it? She probably gave it to her kids or sold it or whatever. Several bottles. I mean, there's thousands of dollars of stuff.
We skipped an aspect of the debts that I want to circle back to you about, and that concerns the income tax liability that exists still. What is your understanding of, is there a specific year that we're dealing with for income tax debt?
Yes, that was for 21 that they sent late last minute within her stuff that her attorney was sending. So I checked on that and I wasn't getting anything from the IRS. And then I did get one and I couldn't get anything out of the IRS. So I spent a couple days with my tax advisor, Rochelle Barnes, and she spent, talked to the IRS with me. I've had several in-person meetings with them and I've showed them where the signatures that she signed and I showed them mine.
Hold on just a second, because we'll get to that.
Mm.
We'll get to those, but I want to first dig into what is your understanding of how much the income tax debt is from 2021?
That bill was 30,000,
Okay,
just under.
okay.
However,
Hold on. We'll get to the however, I promise. So income tax debt of about $30,000. Now in 2021, did you guys file separately or married filing jointly?
we were always filing married separate. However, that was filed married jointly by her for
Okay,
fraud.
so
Objection. Standing objection.
Whatever.
I will sustain it.
and I'll get into this a little bit with you, Bob, but in 2021, that was, am I correct in understanding that that was prior probably to 2025, the only year that you filed married jointly?
Yes.
Um, And what was your understanding of how your taxes were getting filed in 2021? Did you think that you were filing jointly, or did you think that you were filing separately?
Married separate,
Okay. Now, presumably, you would
which
have
I have
had
done.
to, as you had usually done, yes, right. So presumably, you would have had to sign a tax return, correct?
Right.
Did you review the tax return that was submitted for 2021?
No,
You haven't reviewed it.
I haven't signed it.
No, have you reviewed it though? Like, did
Yeah.
you see what was filed?
Yep. Oh, yes, I
Okay.
did.
And the signature that is on that tax return, do you believe that that was yours?
No,
So your
It's not.
position is that you did not sign
I did
the,
not sign what was filed.
okay. And 2021, that's the year in which you were married, correct?
Yes,
And you got married approximately halfway through the year, is that right?
yeah, end of July.
Now, you understand that regardless of whether you filed joint or separate, that if there is a tax liability from the marriage, that's a marital debt that we have to deal with. Do you understand that?
Yes,
Would I be correct in assuming that your position is that at a maximum that you think that you should have roughly half of that income debt or income tax debt be attributed to a premarital debt?
yes,
Okay. Now, have your taxes, are they still filed jointly for 2021?
no, I have been to the IRS and they have approved for me to refile married separate, which dropped it down to $519, which I've paid.
And you understand that in doing that has now created a separate kind of unknown at this point marital debt that we have to deal with, correct?
Well, according to them, my taxes are paid.
Right. But because now Vanessa is presumably going to have to look at refiling or somehow adjusting her taxes, that now there's this new liability and that we don't necessarily know what that is today, correct?
Right.
Okay. But
I
again,
feel those are hers. Mine are paid. She didn't pay mine. Mine are taken out throughout the year. I mean, she cheated that, forged that, and why
I'm
should
gonna
I be stuck
object.
paying that? I've already refiled.
Mr. Alt, again, answer your attorney's questions. She'll make arguments for you. She'll give you the opportunity to explain, but just try to confine yourself to her questions.
I'm trying, Your Honor.
so you have refiled your taxes and you acknowledge that now we have a sort of unknown liability that would exist when Vanessa has to refile her taxes or this court otherwise addresses taxes.
Yes, and I feel that it's her responsibility. It's her taxes.
Okay. Did you report your concerns related to the tax return being filed, again, by your estimation, without your approval? Did you report those concerns to the IRS?
Yes, I have.
And what is your understanding of what, if anything, the IRS is doing with that information?
There is a criminal investigation being done as we speak. There's a detective assigned to my case, and they're working on it.
Okay. And similarly, I don't think I got to or got around to asking this question about the retirement accounts. Did you report what is by your estimation the removal, the unsanctioned removal of your retirement funds from those accounts? Did you report that to anybody?
I've reported that basically all summer long to the sheriff department and with her connections with the sheriff department
And
through
hold on.
Robert Schwan and
Wait, nope.
others.
Hold on, stop. I just want you to answer my questions, okay? Did you report those concerns to an authority?
Several times.
Okay. What is your understanding of what, if anything, is being done about that
Well,
today?
just recently it was assigned to financial crimes. There's a detective assigned to it, and that will be working with me. The case number is open, ongoing investigation.
Okay. I don't think that I have any other questions. See I've got 6 minutes left here on our share of the time today, so I don't think I have any questions left right now for Mr. Alt.
All right, Ms. Terpstra.
Mr. Alt, on your bankruptcy filing, you did list that IRS tax debt. Is that correct?
Yes, because I had it.
Okay. When is
I
it that
had
you,
this bill.
when did you purportedly refile your taxes?
Just a couple weeks ago. I've been working with
After,
IRS heads.
just yes or no?
Once again, all right, hold on, Ms. Terpstra. Once again, Mr. Alt, answer the question. Yes, no, I don't know. Your attorney will have the opportunity to give you the opportunity to explain when it's her turn to speak with you, but this is cross-examination. Please confine yourself to the answer to the question.
Is your testimony that you refiled your taxes while under the bankruptcy stay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. Alt, you reviewed the deed which is Exhibit C, and that deed was signed by you back in January of 2020. Is that correct?
That deed wasn't signed by me. I'm
Okay.
the only one on the deed of my house.
Okay. You understand that there was a notary that acknowledges that you were there, that you were present, and that they confirmed who you were, someone likely from Chicago Title. You're saying that that person from Chicago Title, Katie Cooper, a licensed notary, she forged that document.
I'm saying there's several notaries that are forged.
Okay. So that forged, that notarized document, you didn't sign.
Right.
Okay. And again, it's your testimony that you also did, well, it varied. Either you thought the $8,000 for the 2020 refi was rolled into your refi, or that you paid it even though the check was clearly signed by Vanessa Andrus.
It was, I thought, into the loan, into
Okay.
the refi.
So you thought it was in the loan and no money was paid.
Right. I mean, it was paid, but within the loan.
Okay. You also indicated that you did not sign the 2021 tax return and that she forged all of that. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And again, I'm looking at what is defendant's U. So you're saying that the signature on that tax return
It's
dated
forged.
10/17 is not your signature.
Absolutely.
Okay. There was also a power of attorney that you signed in
And then what?
2021.
No, I did not sign any power of attorney to her. Why would I give her power of attorney?
I'm just asking
Mr.
you.
Alt, hold on. Mr. Alt, again, please just answer the question, all right? Yes, no, and leave it at that. And then your attorney will ask you for explanation.
Okay, Mr. Alt, that power of attorney on page 9 bears your signature. It was signed by 2 witnesses. Is your testimony that you were not there, did not sign, and that those 2 witnesses were included in the fraud?
I did not sign anything knowingly. Anything was power of attorney ever. I have signed refinancing stuff with her.
Okay, and again, on that same power of attorney, there was also a notary who again acknowledged that you were present, you showed an ID, and that they watched you sign that document. So again, we have 3 people that
So
watched
if
you
I
sign the
signed it, I
document.
didn't know it was anything with power of attorney. If I did sign anything.
So is your testimony you signed it, but you didn't know what you were signing? Or is it that you didn't sign it and all 3 people forged their signature and were a part of the fraud?
There's very, very much fraud and several people involved of it.
Okay. So it's your testimony those other 3 people would have been involved in that fraud as well.
Yes.
Okay. On your bankruptcy petition, again, you did acknowledge that you received $46,049 from the union.
Didn't receive 46,000. I received just under 30,000.
Did you sign your bankruptcy petition?
Did I sign my bankruptcy petition? Of course I did.
Okay. So you did sign the bankruptcy petition. On that bankruptcy petition, it lists payments and income that you received.
Because he
Yeah.
listed it before taxes.
Okay, so $46,049.20 did come from the union, correct?
I received a check just under 30,000.
Okay.
I did not receive 46,000. Regardless, it's pension money.
Okay. Speaking of pension money, if I look at your pension cash-ins, what's been marked as defendants O, you indicated that you cashed in 25,000 from one account and 60,000 from another. I'm looking
I
at
did not.
Exhibit O, which indicates from Empower, the 174,401, you cashed out the total sum of 21,892.45. Do you
Actually,
recall
I
that?
did not cash them out. They were cashed out by the defendant.
Okay. Those, I'm looking
I
at
did never cash those
OI
out.
or O
The
sub
firms know
1.
I didn't.
Do you recall receiving a check from Empower for $16,524.59 with the taxes withdrawn from that amount?
No.
And do you recall that being deposited to your joint account?
She deposited them to the joint accounts because that's the only way she could cash them. The firms know I didn't have anything to do with either of those. She fraudulently cashed those out as me. She gave up her rights to the money, cashed them out as me, forged my
Mr.
name on the
Alt, I'm going to
checks.
ask you to simply answer my questions and not keep on going once
And
you've
she's being
answered them.
investigated criminally right now for it.
Mr. Alt, please stop.
And again, did you also have an opportunity to review what's been marked as O2? Again, showing the cash out from the other pension was not in fact 60,000, but was 35,894. And again, that those
After the lump
checks,
sum hit, and I did not
All right,
cash it
hang
out.
on, hang on, hang on. Ms. Terpster, can you give me that amount again?
35,894 and 13 cents.
All right, thank you.
And
But
again,
that
Mr.
wasn't the
Alt, that
value
went
of it.
into your joint account ending in 2795. It was your joint savings account. Is that correct?
She deposited into a joint account and then transferred the money to her personal and business accounts. And I can show that.
Okay.
Not to mention the duplicate debit card she had of mine that she was withdrawing in cash amounts, which I know because it was used when I was out
Mr.
of town.
Alt, I'm not going to tell you again. In fact, you're getting very close to contempt. So please just answer yes or no. Your attorney will give you the chance to explain. I promise.
Well, they're twisting the truth, Your Honor.
Well, this is cross-examination. Just answer the question yes or no.
Mr. Alt, you did recall refinancing the marital home in 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at the time of that refinance, You paid off several credit cards. Is that accurate?
I paid off 2 of mine.
Okay.
Rest for hers.
Did you have a Harley Davidson credit card that was paid off?
Yes.
Okay. And that would have been the Capital One.
No, I think the
Oh, sorry,
Capital
US
One
Bank.
was her Cabela's card.
Okay, so the Capital One Cabela's, that was your card that was paid off in the amount of 16,179, correct?
That and the Harley card.
Okay. And there was also a Grand River Bank mortgage loan that was your card in the amount, I'm sorry, that
was
was
not
your
mine.
home equity in the amount of 24,696.35. Is that correct?
That was what she put into her accounts. That was
Again,
out of the
Mr.
home
Alt.
equity.
You also paid off your
Hold
US.
on. Again, I don't want to start fining you, but
Well,
I'm
I
very
just
close to that.
explaining what it
No,
was.
Mr. Alt, this isn't the time. You have to follow the rules. Your attorney will give you the opportunity to explain.
Well, I'm
Just
trying
answer.
to, Your Honor. I'm just trying to be thorough.
Well, this is not the time to be thorough. Your attorney will follow up. Just answer yes or no. Or I don't know if that's the case.
Mr. Alt, did you also pay off a city card in the amount of 2,764?
I think that was hers.
Okay, if I continue on and I look on Exhibit G, it shows a US bank card. It's a Harley Davidson. That's in the amount of 11,330. There's also a City Simplicity titled in the name of Robert J. Alt, and that was paid off for the amount of 2,740 and 32 cents. Would that have been your card?
Well, I guess if it was in my name, I have
Okay.
to say it's mine, huh? It's probably another one she forged.
Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Alt, the next time you do that, I'm going to fine you $100 each time. So please
Okay.
stop. Just stop.
Well,
Mr. Alt, you testified earlier that the John Deere was purchased and paid during the marriage. Is that accurate? That's what you testified?
yes.
Okay. Your Honor,
Think
can
so.
I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
If there's personally identifying information though on it, I need to know so we can stop streaming.
The only, it has the account number. It doesn't have any date of birth or anything. That would be, it just has the credit card finance account number and the names. It doesn't have date of birth. It doesn't have social
Is
security
this
or
an
anything like
active
that.
account, an open account?
No, it's
Sir
been
John
paid off
Deere.
and closed.
Okay. Then we can go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
No, what?
Mr. Alt, can you see on your screen a John Deere financial statement?
Yeah.
Okay. And can you see the closing date and the date on the account of that statement?
Where's it at?
It's highlighted right underneath the summary of account activity on the top left.
No, it's pretty blurry. I can't even read anything on the top left.
Okay, I'm making it bigger. Can you read it now?
4121.
Okay. Was that before or after your marriage?
Yeah, that was before.
Okay. And does it show a payment being applied to the John Deere?
$2,000.
Okay, 2,170.85.
Yep.
Okay. And that would have paid off that John Deere, correct?
Put it back on there. What it was,
And that was that there was no payment after the balance was 2,086.11, and there was a payoff of 2,170.85.
yeah.
And that was in April of 2021, is that correct?
Yeah, it said 4/21,
Okay, so that would have been before the marriage, correct?
right?
All right.
Same year as the marriage, couple months. I already said she can have the more, whatever. If she thinks it's worth that.
Okay.
Okay, what's on my screen now here?
Yeah, Miss Terpster, you're still sharing.
Oh,
your
sorry.
screen,
Hang
So if
on.
you're done, you want to take that down.
Yep.
Here we go.
You claimed that the 2022 refinance was Vanessa's idea. Is that what you believe to be true?
All this crazy stuff was her idea.
Okay.
I mean, is it obvious to see?
And again, you
Mr. Alt,
believe,
please stop.
I'm sorry.
Yes, no, I don't know. Okay. If you need to talk with your attorney, we can take a break, but yes, no, or I don't know for cross-examination is appropriate.
your testimony is that you believe the fair and equitable amount of the home that should go to my client is 0, that she has no equity and she has no right to anything in that house. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated that you gave my client cash from a safe that you had $50,000 in to
Close to.
purchase the snowmobile. That was your
Absolutely.
testimony?
And I
Okay.
also gave her cash towards the trailer.
Okay.
We both went in on that.
And again, you claim you had no knowledge of the Discover card before filing this action.
I found out about this Discover card when I went to buy my truck out because my lease was over. And they said, you have this Discover card? And I said, I don't have a Discover card.
Mr. Alt, in previous hearings, you had alleged that my client had stolen your Cabela's card and was running that up. Do you recall that testimony?
It wasn't the Cabela's card. It was the Harley card. She didn't steal them. What she did is change the contact information and then was just using them. Not the Cabela's card, the Harley card, the Buckle card. And then she had the Discover card that she opened in my name.
Find the Harley. Okay, here we go. There's the Cabela's. There's the Harley, right? Mm-hmm. And again, Mr. Alt, you all separated in February of 2025. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was after you assaulted my client?
I never assaulted your client.
There's a PPO
Don't
put
put
on you
words
at
in
that
my mouth.
time.
There
Do
is
you
a
recall
PPO
that?
that's falsified. That Robert Schwant helped her forge.
Hey,
It's
Mr.
falsified.
Alt, that's $100.
Wow. To who? The court?
If we have to move this to in person, you'll be going out the side door and not being fined. So please, yes, no, or I don't know.
Well, she asked me a question about that she said stuff that wasn't true.
Then answer no.
Mr. Alt, on the US bank card, the Harley Davidson Visa, I am looking at, this is Exhibit L. And I'm going to just recite to you a couple of the charges. For the court's reference, this is on the statement, the February 2025 statement. You claim that my client was running up this card. E. Arthur Brown Company. What does that
Okay.
company sell?
That's a gun company.
Okay,
However,
and
may I have a chance to explain that?
Not now. Your attorney will give you the chance. Just answer her questions. We're never
have
gonna
the
get done.
dates.
Sir, you'll get the chance. Just, that was a yes or no question. Just say yes or no, whatever the answer is.
Well, yes, I'm sure she didn't, I imagine I used that.
Okay, and did you have dentistry work done for $1,743.20 at Belmont Dentistry? You
I've
recall
had
having dental work?
lots of dental work done there. That's where I go to the dentist.
All right. And on the next month's statement, it was just revolving. There was a charge following at Sparta Ago. Is that somewhere that you shop?
That's a gas station, and I don't usually go there. I go there once in a while.
Okay, for $4.78.
Obviously, it wasn't for gas.
Do you recall stopping at the Little Sack grocery store?
I stop there often.
Okay, for $23.75.
Now, how would I remember something like that?
Did you get any iPhone accessories for $43.80 at the AT&T store shortly after you left the home?
That's what page we're on. Just because this
Um,
is a 76-page exhibit.
62.
Okay.
Which one of those charges would Vanessa Alt have run up?
You're obviously just listing charges that I have used.
Well, those are the only charges on these statements. I go to the next balance statement, and that's just a
Why
balance.
don't you go back a few
Balance.
years? Huh? I can give you the
Balance,
dates. She
interest.
changed the contact information and give you the dates. I
Mr.
changed it
Alt,
back.
your attorney will ask those questions.
Payment reversal, return payment fee. There's no other charges that were ever charged on that card other than the ones we disclosed and you claimed were yours.
And what's the balance of the card at the time? Did they just magically get there?
The balance was approximately 9,783, or I'm sorry, 9,781.18, and that was disclosed on your VFI at the time that you guys separated. The charges that were read into the record were all ones that were made by you.
Because they're in my name, I had to list them, right? You haven't talked about the her
Mr.
changing the
Alt,
contact info.
Mr. Alt, stop. That's
I'm sorry.
200.
200?
Every time I have to admonish you, it's gonna go up. Ms. Spencer, do you need to speak with your attorney, or with your client?
That
Did we
would be
take a
wonderful.
bathroom break?
All right, well, we just did a few minutes ago, but
Mr. Alt, during the time of your marriage, did you have sexual relations with anyone other than your wife?
No.
Do you recall someone named Rihanna Martin, a call girl that you corresponded with?
No.
Okay. And do you recall telling others that not only did you have sex with other women, but with some men in Granville?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You didn't, or you don't recall telling people that?
I didn't.
Okay. Do you take steroids, Mr. Alt?
I take test.
Okay. Is that prescribed?
It is prescribed by a doctor.
Okay. In fact, you take all kinds of
can you
steroids, don't
spell
you?
that, please?
That is not true.
No, hold on. Can you spell that? You said you
What,
take,
it's testosterone.
okay, thank you.
I take a very light therapy.
Don't you take a steroid called Anadrol, Anadrol?
Anadrol is a steroid that the defendant purchased and told me it was a very weak steroid to help me with my arm. I do not take that anymore. I took it while she gave it to me. And then when I researched it, I seen how bad it was.
Mr. Alt, do you recall telling Robert Schwalm that you in fact had sex with men, women, that you were enraged by steroids and you were going to get rid of all of those things and make your marriage work with Mrs. Alt.
I did not say that to Robert Schwam. Robert Schwam is who she had set me up with a PPO.
You are under a PPO at the moment, are you not?
I am.
And is that not
Falsified
for
PPO.
going into the house and physically assaulting Ms. Alt?
I never assaulted Mrs. Alt.
Let
I
me
came
just
home to
indicate
check
that,
on her.
Mr. Alt, let me just say that the court can take judicial notice of the PPO and it's res judicata at this point, so we don't need to rehash all of that.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Spencer.
I'll be very, very quick here. Regarding the closing costs that were paid by the defendant for the 2020 refinance, you testified that you thought that those costs were rolled into the refinancing, correct?
Yes,
But you understand based on the check that was presented that that's not the case.
Right.
You were mistaken, correct?
yep.
Okay. Regarding the power of attorney, were there any circumstances in place in February of 2021, I believe, is when it was signed, that would necessitate having a power of attorney?
No,
Your accident hadn't happened, correct?
right.
No medical issues.
No,
I'm sorry, could you clarify that date one more time?
I believe it was signed, and I'm sifting through the things. I think it was signed February 4th of 2021.
Thank you.
So no medical issues, no travel, nothing that would require a power of attorney to be signed.
no,
Regarding the retirement accounts, the disparity in the amounts that you claimed were cashed out. When you gave the figures of 25 and 60,000, is that what you believed was in the account before they were cashed out?
yeah, that's what they told me it was.
And
Objection,
they-
hearsay.
Sustained, you can't say what someone else told you.
Well, the firms that
nope.
It's
manage the
hearsay, sir.
account.
Don't argue with me about my rulings, please. That just takes it to another level.
You can tell me about your beliefs, but don't tell me what anybody else has said to you. So did you believe that those were the amounts that were in there before they were cashed out?
Yes,
And would it have been your understanding that the amounts that were cashed out would have been reduced by penalties for cashing them out early?
yes,
Okay. Does that explain the difference in the amounts that we're talking about?
yeah. The lump sum hit they took.
Okay. Regarding the John Deere purchase. So you were the only person, I believe, listed on the statement that was shown, is that right?
Yeah,
And the statement shows that John Deere was completely paid off before the marriage.
yeah.
that
It
right?
was a John Deere. I mean, I don't know. It was a zero interest thing.
Okay. So it was completely paid off though before the marriage.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. But you thought it
Started with
was
that couple months.
you thought it was done during the marriage though, initially? So does that change your opinion about how this court should treat the John Deere?
Well, I don't really care what. I mean, what's they're saying about the John Deere? I mean, I'm not giving her that kind of money for it. That's for sure.
Okay. So would it be your position that either it be valued less or that it be considered your premarital property?
Yeah,
Okay. And then just in general, as we're talking about credit card statements and account balances and all that kind of stuff, can you very succinctly tell me what is it that is your concern as we're looking at these dollar figures?
with what?
What is your concern as we're looking at the dollar figures? Is it that you think that the defendant was charging money to these accounts, or that payments weren't being made, or what is your concern
Well, the
with this?
dollar figures, I mean, she put the house in forbearance, and that's 45,000 behind. I mean, she grossed 720,000 and only contributed 238.
Objection, again, assumes facts not in evidence. There's no
It is
evidence.
facts off the bank
Okay,
statement.
sir, Mr. Alt. Ms. Spencer, can you please ask him some very pointed, direct questions?
Yes.
Where you're trying to go, please?
Yes.
Listen
Do you,
carefully to what she asked you, Mr. Alt.
what is, just generally, what is your understanding of your yearly income on average during the marriage?
My yearly income,
Yes.
around 100 grand.
Around 100. And what did you believe that the defendant was making on average per year during the marriage?
150, 200, somewhere in there. I mean, it varied.
And would that be before or after taxes?
Probably before. It's probably a gross figure.
Okay. So would I be correct in understanding that part of your concern relates to kind of the math of what you have incoming into, in terms of marital incoming or marital income versus what the expenses were?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like the math matches up?
Not
That-
at all.
Okay. Can you explain very succinctly why you think that the math does not match up?
Because from what it shows in the joint accounts compared to what she made, there's missing, 500 grand.
Okay. So you think,
Objection.
Why? Well, how can you object that? It's off the bank
Wait,
statement.
Mr.
Stop,
Alt,
stop.
again, that is not your
Well,
job. here.
how can I answer that any
Stop.
differently?
stop,
Stop.
please. If I may respond to the
Yes.
Can
objection.
I?
Yes,
I-
no, Mr.
Not
Alt.
you, please. If I may respond to the objection, I think he's just testifying about his understanding of, again, the money that was coming in versus what is left to
okay,
show
so-
for it. No,
Mr.
stop.
Alt, hold on. We have to deal with the objection first. You need to be quiet right now. We'll let you know when you can talk again. Ms. Spencer.
He's testifying about his understanding of what money was coming in versus what was going out, and there being, by his estimation, some disparities.
Yes.
To get this moving along, I
So
will.
can I state what I
Well, hold
think?
on. You've got to wait until I've ruled, Mr. Alt. I will allow the testimony in the interest of moving forward here. And I will give it the appropriate weight.
Thank you.
Right.
I think with his answer, I think he already answered it, that he felt that there was disparity there. And I think with that, I can be done.
Okay. Ms. Terpstra, do you have any recross?
No.
All right. Next witness.
I would call or ask that the court allow in Jennifer Lee. She should be, oh, I'm sorry.
Just
You
from a
said you only had
procedural
him, so-
standpoint. Yeah, just from a procedural standpoint, I think that anything that I would need to ask the defendant about, if I can get a little bit of leeway from Ms. Terpstra on cross versus direct, I could probably get what I need from her on cross.
Okay.
So at that point, at this point, I can rest our case.
Okay.
I think that's to say about them.
Mr. Alt,
I thought I was going to be given the chance.
you're done. Okay. Ms. Terpstra.
Yes, if I could call Jennifer Lee, she should be in your waiting room.
Ms. Lee, are you there? Right. Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. Would you raise your right hand, please? Would you state your name for the record?
Jennifer Lee,
Would you spell your name for the record?
Jenniferlee.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I might share my screen again.
Please do.
Okay. Ms. Lee, are you a notary?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And do you also witness documents from time to time?
Yes.
Now, as a witness, as a notary, what is your standard practice to ensure whoever is signing before you is the person that is in fact they are alleging themselves to be?
Well, if I don't know who they are, then obviously I'm going to ask for a picture ID, a valid picture ID. Otherwise, obviously if I know them, I've already,
Affirmed who they are?
correct.
And Ms. Lee, I'm sure you signed many documents.
Yes.
So I'm not expecting you to recall a specific instance. However, let me ask you this. Have you ever signed a document as a witness or as a notary when the person that you are stating, I witnessed this signature, I'm notarizing this signature, you didn't actually see them sign the document?
No, I'm not allowed to do that as a notary.
Okay, you would lose your license, correct?
Correct. And I'm bonded.
Okay, so if you would see, I've got a document that I'm sharing. It is a power of attorney. It's Defendant's Exhibit T for the court record. It's a durable power of attorney for financial management, okay? And I'm going to scroll to page 9. And on that page, do you recognize as a witness your signature?
Yes.
Okay. And the person that you witnessed signature is listed as Robert J. Alt.
Correct.
Do you know Robert Alt?
Yes.
So you wouldn't have had to confirm by his ID. You would have known who he was.
Correct.
And again, for you to have signed a document, he would have needed to be present before you signing that document. Is that correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Spencer, any questions?
Just very briefly, is this a document that you notarized or just witnessed?
I don't know if my notary signature is on there or not, but I am a notary, but I don't know if I notarized that or not. I don't see it, but I also don't remember doing this either.
Okay. Where do you work?
I am self-employed. I'm a transaction coordinator for real estate.
Do you work in that capacity with the defendant?
I'm assuming you mean Vanessa is the defendant?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what kind of documents are you typically notarizing?
Mostly real estate documents, power of attorneys, quitclaim deeds, real estate documents.
In what circumstances typically would you be notarizing powers of attorney?
I don't know I've gone to people's houses and everything too. I don't do just real estate stuff. Like if somebody comes into our office, I may also go to somebody's house too, like a medical durable power of attorney, that kind of thing. I've done that before as well. It's
Okay.
not just real estate.
Okay. And you said you have no recollection of this particular document of Robert and Vanessa
No.
coming in?
No, I don't. I actually have a closed head injury. So
Okay.
I don't remember. I mean, I sign and witness lots of things. So, I mean, I don't remember doing it, but that's my signature. So yeah, I did it.
And would you have a different procedure for witnessing versus notarizing? Like,
If it's a notarized, then I would have to do the notarized blank thing at the bottom as to when I expire and everything like that in the stamp.
and I think if we scroll down, we would see that the notary is a Kimberly McGeaney. Does that name mean anything to you? McGeaney. Does that name mean anything to you?
Yeah, she's my office manager.
Okay. And then the other witness on this document was a Dawn DeWitt. Do you know that person?
Yes, I do.
Does she also work with you?
No,
How do you know her?
she used to work here a few years ago. She's no longer employed here.
Okay. I don't think I have any further questions.
Nothing further of this witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. May this witness be excused.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and you're excused.
Thank you.
Next witness.
I would call Robert Schwalm.
That person is no longer in the waiting room.
Oh, that person is no longer?
He was there earlier, but
Okay.
I don't know if
Is
he lost
Brianna
the
Martin
connection.
still in there?
yes.
Okay, let's text him and I will start with Brianna.
Great, we'll let Martin in. Ms. Martin?
Hi,
Good afternoon.
good
You
afternoon.
raise your right hand, please. Would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Rihanna Martin, R-H-I-A-N-N-A, and then Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Thank you.
Ms. Martin, do you recall being contacted by Vanessa Alt late January of 2025?
yes, I do, correct.
And did she inquire of you as to whether you'd had any contact, texting, otherwise, with her husband, Bob Alt?
Yes,
And in fact, had she found some text correspondence between you and Mr. Alt?
yes, correct.
And what kind of correspondence was that? What was your connection with Mr. Alt?
Well, I can't exactly remember, but definitely we were flirting back and forth, and I meet a lot of guys on dating apps and such, and sort of, and we were like flirting and texting, and then yeah, so pretty much it was just flirting and texting. We were planning on meeting up, and I didn't know he was married.
Okay. And do you recall there being correspondence with you and Mr. Alt that you had condoms and lube, and where would you be meeting up?
Yes,
Trying to set up a time and date
Yeah.
to do that?
yes,
And that was prior to you finding that Mr. Alt was married.
yes.
And when you found that out, did you try to continue the relationship with Mr. Alt, or did you try to terminate the relationship with
Nope,
Mr.
I
Alt?
terminated. I shut it completely down.
And how did Mr. Alt take that?
He got really mad.
Okay. And again, this was back in January of 2025, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Ms.
Uh,
Fuller?
Yeah, very briefly here. Ms. Martin, how did you communicate with Mr. Alt?
I can't exactly remember, but it's definitely through text message for sure. I can't recall which dating app we met through, but we definitely texted through text message on my phone.
Did you ever have any phone calls with him?
Not that I can recall. It was probably just definitely through text message.
How about any like video visits?
No.
And then was that text messaging, was that just through the app, or was that to a specific phone number?
Like on our cell phones, on my cell
Okay.
phone.
But so using just your regular cell phone
Yeah.
texting, not an app.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And when you say that Mr. Alt got mad, what does that mean?
Like he got upset that I didn't want to pursue with him and, hooking up and stuff like that because I found out he was married.
And what made you think, I mean, what did he say that made you think that he was mad specifically?
I can't remember, but I know he got upset and was like upset that I didn't want to sleep with him.
No further questions.
I would release this witness, Your Honor.
All right, may this witness be excused?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, thank you for your time, Ms. Martin. You're excused.
Thank you so much. Am I good to go?
Yes, you are.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you. Do I just click out of the exit right here?
Yep,
Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.
you too. All right, it looks like Mr. Schwam is in the waiting room. So
All
we
right,
can
thank
bring him
you.
in if you're ready for him.
Yes.
Mr. Schwam? You're muted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
All right, would you raise your right hand? Would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Robert Schwalm, RobertSchwalm.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Ms. Terpstra.
Mr. Schwalm, how do you know the plaintiff and defendant in this matter?
Vanessa is and has been a friend of my wife's. They work together. I got to know Bob through work functions with my wife's profession. And so that's where I first met Bob and Vanessa. I moved here 5 years ago from the east side of the state, so it's been within the last 5 years.
Okay. Do you recall in mid-February of last year being called by Vanessa due to an incident that was occurring in their home?
I do.
And can you tell me first of all, was it, what time approximately were you called?
Somewhere between midnight and 12:30 to my recollection.
Okay. And what were the circumstances that Ms. Alt reached out to you?
She was at the house and Bob Alt had grabbed her, woken her up, screaming at her, and she felt threatened for her life.
Okay. And did you have any conversation with Mr. Alt that evening?
No,
Okay.
no.
Didn't you don't recall speaking on speakerphone with Mr.
Oh, I
Alt?
do. Oh, prior to that, no. I re-engaged with Bob Alt on February 12th was the first time that he and I had met one-on-one. So this incident happened on February 20th, or 21st, whatever side of the clock that was at midnight. And yes, he was on speakerphone. My wife was listening. I was there, and I was telling Bob to get out of the house and to leave her alone, that you're scaring her. And he was screaming back that she's not supposed to be there. And this is my house, and on, and she's effing crazy.
What was
You
his
know,
what was
all
his
that.
demeanor?
Hostile
Okay. Did he
and
sound like
and defensive.
okay? Did you have concern about Ms. Alt's safety?
Yes, in fact, I yelled back at Bob numerous times, you need to leave the house.
And
You
to your
leave the
knowledge,
house or I'm calling the police.
did Mr. Alt, to your knowledge, ultimately leave the home?
I'm trying to remember if he did or if he went into another room or something, but I believe, if I'm recalling accurately, I believe he did leave, but it took a long time for that to happen,
And that was after much discussion and urging by you?
for sure.
Okay. Now, were you trying to assist the Alts in potentially reconciling their marriage at some point early in 2025?
I would say after Mr. Alt came to me, then the desire at the time was, of course, trying to help help them reconcile. I work with a lot of different couples, and I've done work with a lot of men in particular who have special cases like this.
Okay. And do you act in like a counselor type matter or a mediator? Or like what exactly do you do in those situations?
I am not licensed. I am trusted, I would say, through our church and through a ministry known as Celebrate Recovery, to work with different men to try to get them into a place where they can be restored and restoring their families, and trying to be an upright man rather than leaning on addictive behaviors and addictions that cripple them and cripple their marriages.
Okay. Did Mr. Alt disclose to you any addictions that he was struggling with?
He didn't call them addictions. He admitted what he had done,
And
which
what was that?
which was having same-sex relations and relations with escorts or prostitutes.
Okay. Did Mr. Alt also describe to you usage of steroids?
Yes.
Did he also describe usage of alcohol?
He said he wasn't an alcoholic, but that's not my belief.
Okay.
But yes, absolutely alcohol. And he said he needed steroids for his bodybuilding. To my knowledge and through my investigation into, because I know bodybuilders, many of them, he is not a professional bodybuilder, nor does he compete. So this would be a hobby that he uses steroids for.
And when he came to you, what was your role? What were you trying to help him with?
To get free of his addictions. And I offered to be an accountability partner. I offered him to lock down any devices that he has that would engage him with pornography or escort sites or any sites like that, and that I would be an accountability partner. He would have to subscribe to something called Covenant Eyes. He said he was going to do it, and he never did. And that's proof that he never did, because that accountability site, if someone signs up and puts a partner as accountability partner, I am immediately notified by Covenant Eyes, immediately notified. And that never happened. So I know that he said so, but didn't do so.
How long were you attempting to work with Mr. Alt?
Until I realized that he was lying and that he had no intention of, let's use the word, repenting from his actions, and to the point where he filed, after saying that I love my wife, I want to restore her, but yet he's beating her up in verbally in confrontations, lying about that, and had no intention of doing anything that was restorative. So at that point, I said, I demand two things: transparency and honesty. And if you're not going to do those things, I can't work with you, because you're not willing to get well.
How long
You
though?
want-
I understand you only worked until that point, but was it a week? Was
Yeah.
it two,
I would,
a month?
no, probably 2 to 3 weeks. It was a very short period of time. I have all the text messages backing this up, and my challenges to him, that I had no intention of working with him after that, or trying to help him. I can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped.
Okay. You said that you understood that he was taking steroids. Do you recall like the level of steroids that he was taking? Was it just testosterone? Was it other, types of steroids?
Yeah, there were other types of steroids. He was also taking, I think, or I know, because something was found and I challenged him on it, the like a Viagra, and he said he used that also to get a better quote unquote pump.
Okay. And again, that was some of the addictive substances that you were trying to help him step away from?
Yeah, it was one more thing on top of, testosterone and other things that he was taking. So he was compounding things. He was layering things on top of one another.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Spencer.
So if I understood your testimony correctly, you said that you first started talking to Bob on February 12th, I think you said?
Yes.
Was that the first contact period or first in-person conversation?
That was the first in person. The first contact may have been a day prior. I mean, it was right away. I
Okay.
made myself available right away.
And how did Bob come to be in contact with you?
I have text message from Bob. We may have had a conversation. Honestly, I don't remember, but I have the first text message at February 12th saying that he would be at my house at 10:30. So there was a discussion prior to that, but not long before that.
Okay. And then how did he, or what's your understanding of how he came to find you?
Well, he knows that I'm pretty active at our local church, and he knows that I do work with men. Vanessa at that point was hopeful that he would try to get help and may have recommended me to do that. And so he reached out and did that.
So did you know Vanessa separately from your relationship with Bob?
I knew Vanessa first before knowing Bob, yes.
Okay.
Just
How long have
because
you
she
known?
works with my wife. Probably, I'm going to guess, counselor, probably, it'd have to be 4 to 5 years because I moved here 5 years ago. So somewhere in that time frame.
Okay. And then aside from this speakerphone conversation on February 21st, did you observe Bob and Vanessa interacting on other occasions?
There wasn't anything between the 12th and the 21st where I saw them in other occasions. Just, we were involved in text messages, Bob and I one-on-one, Vanessa, and through my wife and I, separately.
Yeah,
We were
so
involved in the process of trying to pick up pieces after an explosion in the marriage. I mean, not to be so verbose about it, but it is. When something like this happens, it is.
So I just was trying to clarify. You said that Bob beats up on her verbally. Was that just based on that February 21st conversation, or was there another thing that kind of informed that opinion?
Well, we saw videos that Vanessa had kept on her phone of Bob's behavior in the past. I was privileged to emails that Bob, when he was exploding in emails saying, who in the F do you think you effing people are, questioning me about Viagra. And I mean, so that's every part that I've seen of him in person, heard him on the phone, read emails, and seen videos are all consistent with the same behavior.
Okay. Were these emails provided to you by Vanessa?
Yes.
When did that happen?
I have copies of them if you want to see them.
No, I'm just asking when did you get them?
Probably at some point at the end of February, I would say
Okay.
beginning of March, right when I was washing my hands of the whole situation with trying to help him.
Okay. So did you continue to try to help him after the 21st, or was that it?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. Try
And
to
you had
help him.
conversations?
And we had text conversations, and I think there was maybe one phone call.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any further questions.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, may this witness be excused?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you so much for your time. You're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any further witnesses? Mr.
Yes, Your Honor, my client.
All right. All right, would you raise your right hand? Would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Yes, Vanessa Alt, Vanessaalt.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Alt. I'm going to start similarly with the property, and I want to walk through starting with the marital home.
Okay.
Where did you and Mr. Alt live together while you guys were married?
10333 Meadowgate, Sparta, Michigan.
Okay. And did you actually live there prior to the marriage?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall approximately when you moved in with Mr. Alt?
It was during COVID, so approximately January, what was it called, 2019, 2020?
So there was a deed that was executed from Mr. Alt to you in January of 2020. Mr. Alt testified earlier that A, he didn't sign it despite it being notarized. He had no idea why he would have signed that deed, and in fact disclaims that he did sign it. Do you recall Mr. Alt signing that quitclaim deed and providing you an interest in the home?
I do.
And can you tell the court why Mr. Alt would have signed that deed?
I believe it was the same day when the refinance was done for him to lower his interest rate. I had paid the $7,900 for his refinance, and we were beginning to dump. I was beginning to dump personal funds into the home in order to finish the lower level and many other upgrades of the home. So that was a way to protect, my interest in my funds that were going into the home.
Okay. So because you were investing significant funds, that's why he felt you should have an interest in the deed, or a deed and an interest in the house.
Correct.
To protect you.
Correct.
Okay. Did you ask for the deed, or did Mr. Alt offer to do that?
We briefly discussed how that was going to work, and he said, I would like to put you on the deed. And I believe, yes.
Okay. Now, do you recall at that first financing, and I'm going to look at essentially the 2020 refinance. Do you recall, was there an appraisal done to determine what the house was worth for that refinance?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And would that be, I'm looking at Exhibit D. Do you recall what the house was worth at that time?
I believe it was $250,000.
Okay. And in the course of that refinance, Mr. Alt took out $205,000 as a loan on that refinance. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And he later took out another $25,000 on a HELOC.
Correct.
Okay. So at that time, he had $230,000 worth of debt on a $250,000 home.
That's correct.
That's your understanding? Okay. And when he did take out those loans, again, who paid for the closing costs for those refinance?
I did.
Okay. And I'm looking at what's marked as our Exhibit E. The total cost was $7,932.49. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And where did that money come from?
Out of my personal savings account.
And again, that's evidenced by the savings withdrawal for Vanessa Andrus, and that was your account.
Correct.
Mr. Alt had nothing to do with this account.
Correct.
You guys weren't married, you were still separate and single, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did Mr. Alt go to a cash safe, take out $8,000, give it to you so that you could put it in your bank account and cut the check for that?
No.
And then in 2022, well, first let me ask you this. So January, you pay him $8,000, or you pay the title company $8,000 to cover all of his closings. He refinances. And the reason for doing that was you were going to start pumping money into his house. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And if you look back at the January 2020 appraisal, and again, that is Exhibit D, and you look at the appraisal photos, And if I look at page 21 of Exhibit D, at the bottom of page 21, you can look at mine. What does that depict?
That is the lower level, completely unfinished with only firewalls.
Okay, and if I look at page 22, again, is that additional pictures of the state of the basement at the time you began putting money into the house?
Aside from picture number 3, which was the upper level half bath.
Okay. And again, if I'm looking at page 23, that shows a pretty standard builder grade kitchen.
Correct.
And in fact, were most of the finishes in the home at that time pretty standard, dated, builder grade finishes?
Yes.
Okay. So beginning in early 2020, did you begin to start putting money into the house?
Immediately.
What kinds of projects were you paying for? What kinds of things were you doing in the house?
The lower level again was completely unfinished with just firewalls. We added a primary suite down there with custom closets. We added a living room. We added a fireplace, shiplap. We added a mini kitchen, appliances. We added more custom closets, and we added a full bathroom.
Okay. And how much money do you anticipate or do you recall pouring into the house in early 20 or 2020, 2021?
Approximately 45,000.
Okay. And again, I'm looking at Exhibit I. I believe that the parties have agreed this is more demonstrative. The court can weight it as it so chooses. But on Exhibit I, did you look back and try to see kind of what expenses you paid for at that time?
Yes, I actually had a file with them in it that I had kept throughout the duration.
Okay. And again, those were expenses that you paid out of your account, correct?
Yes, they were.
And again, I'm going to ask you the same question. Was Mr. Alt on your account or contributing anything to your savings and checkings account?
No.
Okay. So his description that he would give you money, you would put it in your account, and then you would spend on things. Was that accurate?
No.
Where did the money come from that was going into your accounts?
From my work, and I did have a pretty substantial savings account.
Okay. Did you purchase a hot tub for the house?
I did.
And again, was that before or after the marriage?
The deposit was put down before the marriage. I had the funds in it. It was on order due to COVID, came in about 2 months after the marriage, and then the remainder was paid at that time.
Okay. Now, you guys refinanced again in 2022, is that correct?
That is correct.
Why did you refinance again so quickly?
Bob had an additional prior to his accident. He had a shoulder surgery where he was off work, and he had very little sub pay, and I believe it's called workman's comp, and then that had run out. So we had put so much money into the house, and we had gotten married and taken some vacations, and we were running tight on money, and the credit cards that we paid off of his had extremely high interest rates, up in the high 20s. And we discussed that taking that equity with the upgrades that were done to the house to pay off all of those credit cards would be, obviously, they were going to save us, over $1,000, $1,500 a month.
Okay. And when I look at what's been marked as Exhibit G, which was the 22 refinance, there is a listing of all of the payments that were paid directly out of the mortgage funds. The initial one was to the mortgage company for $192,830.19. That was for the underlying mortgage he was refinancing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then there was a Capital One Cabela's card for $16,179. Was that your account or Bob's account?
Bob's account.
And then there was a Capital One revolving installment loan for $15,942. Do you know what that was
I
for?
believe that is my Suburban payoff.
Okay, so you did pay off your Suburban for 15,000, almost 16,000.
That's correct.
And then there was a city card for Bob for 2,764. That was his city card, correct?
That's correct.
Grand River Mortgage, that was his second loan that he took out back in 2020.
That's correct.
And that was at 24,696.
Correct. I believe so, based on that.
And then there was also a payoff of $10,000 to US Bank, almost 11,000. Was that your account or was that Bob's?
That was Bob's.
And then finally, there was a Wells Fargo credit card that was paid off for $7,461. Again, was that your account or Bob's?
That was Bob's.
Okay, so 1 year after he refinanced in 2020, another $37,000 worth of credit card debt of Mr. Alt's was paid off at that time.
That's correct.
And that was in a house that only had about $20,000, $30,000 of equity in it at the time that you guys started commingling your funds.
That's correct.
Is it your belief then that the house is 100% commingled, and in fact, you've probably put more money into it than Mr. Alt has?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, in 2025, Mr. Alt's then attorney had an appraisal done, and that's what's marked as Exhibit H. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And at the time, what did they believe to be the value of the home?
475,000.
Okay. And again, if I direct the court to Exhibit H, starting at page 14 of that exhibit, looking at the interior of the home, can you see and describe some of the upgrades that you all put into the home?
Aside from completely finishing the lower level fireplace and etc., moving to the upper level, all of the doors and trim were professionally painted from the dark color to white. New washer and dryer, all new appliances. The kitchen was completely gutted. New cabinets were installed, granite countertops, new flooring.
And again, that's depicted in that appraisal.
Correct.
Okay. And again, if we look on page, starting at 15, is that the finished basement?
The bottom right photo is the finished basement. That's correct.
Okay. And does page 16 also show the finished lower level of the home?
All photos on that page, aside from the additional garage, are in fact the lower level.
Okay. So it went from basically studs and completely unfinished to a completely furnished livable space.
There were not even studs, actually.
Okay. Now, when we're looking at, Mr. Alt said, he said, gosh, I was just putting all this money in. I never knew where the money went. And, it's all her. When you first got together, how much was Mr. Alt making?
Oh gosh, his checks probably varied. I think the most he had gotten paid was maybe $1,000 on a pay period, but typically around $800 to $900 per week.
Okay. And when did he first stop working? Was that before or after the marriage?
It was after the marriage.
And when was that?
I believe his surgery was September of 2021, and that he was off work with only sub pay for 11 months, 9 to 11 months.
Okay. So you were primarily financially carrying the burden of this relationship.
For that period, yes.
Okay. And then when was Mr. Alt in his car accident?
July, I believe 24th or 25th of 2022.
Okay. And at that time, what was your financial situation?
I guess that's hard to answer. It was okay. However, okay, it was moderate.
Okay. Was he able to work after that car accident?
No,
And how long did that go on?
until I left the home,
Okay.
until the divorce.
So he was still not, so he basically wasn't working from July of 22 until you left the home in February of 25?
I believe there was only a three or 4 month period.
Okay. At some point, did you apply under insurance for any benefits for lost wages or?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me about that process?
I had taken care of all of those situations, starting with farmers insurance, as far as him receiving those benefits. I had worked with the union rep in regards to back pay, monthly back pay. I had also worked with the Social Security Administration in order for him to receive his Social Security disability.
Okay, so you were working with a lot of those folks trying to get these benefits for Mr. Alt.
That's correct.
And you ultimately were successful in getting some wage reimbursements from the insurance company of the vehicle, correct?
Farmers only at that time.
Okay. And you were also, you said, working with the union, is that correct?
That is correct.
And again, that was for what type? Was that for back wages?
It was back wages from the date of the accident if his Social Security disability was approved.
Okay, so the trigger for getting those back wages was once they had proof that he would qualified for disability.
Correct.
Okay. And you had sent discovery to Mr. Alt requesting updates and information on that back pay, correct?
That is correct.
And as of the last, you knew the last discovery, he had denied that any back pay had ever been received.
That is correct.
And it was only when Mr. Alt filed for his bankruptcy in December of last year that you first discovered that the back pay had been paid.
That is correct.
Okay. And again, I'm looking at Exhibit X. And sorry, I gotta find the page. Sorry, Your Honor. I'm looking at Exhibit X, page number 60, where it looks at a 6-month income calculator and disclosure. And this is from the union, is that correct?
It appears to be the amount that the union rep told me they would reimburse per month if he was deemed disabled.
Okay. And it looks like he received his first payment, which was a bulk payment back in October of 2025. Is that correct?
That's what it appears, correct.
Okay. And when you look at the amount that he got, which was $43,747, did that comport with the monthly amount that you expected that he would be paid from the time of the accident?
Almost to the penny.
And then again, too, in looking at November and December, were those monthly payments exactly what the back wages were supposed to be if in fact he qualified for disability and was awarded those payments?
I can honestly not say I know the exact amount, but it was approximately $1,100.
Okay. And so the $1,151 continuing per month would comport with the back wages you were working so hard to get for him.
Correct.
Okay. Now I want to go back and look at 2021. That's the first year that you all were married. Is that correct?
Correct.
But you would live together for most of the year. And you had pumped a bunch of money into the house in 2021 as well.
Correct.
Okay. Now you filed married joint in 2021. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. In 2021, did you withhold enough money from your real estate income to pay all the taxes?
I did not.
Why didn't you withhold?
It's I have it set up with an account at work where it's withheld, and I had a much stronger year than I had expected. That's when things kind of took a turn, and we were, you know, overpaying, bidding wars and whatnot.
Okay. Now, I'm looking at what's been marked as Exhibit U, your 2021 tax authorization form. First of all, let me ask you this. Did you and Mr. Alt discuss how you were going to file your taxes for 2021?
Yes, we did.
And what decision did you come to?
In all honesty, it was his ultimate decision when we talked about it that it would benefit him better to be married versus filing singly. So we had the discussion on it and moved forward with it.
Okay. And you filed your taxes indeed married jointly for 2021. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I'm looking at you. It looks like you signed your tax return as of 10/17 of 2022. Is that your signature?
That is my signature.
And I'm looking at the signature below that as your spouse. Is that Robert Alt's signature?
That is his signature.
Okay. And again, he signed that same day.
Correct.
And you both had to sign that in order to file your taxes.
That is correct.
Okay. And is it your testimony that he signed that document?
That is his signature.
Okay. Did you forge that signature?
I did not.
Did you have anyone else sign it for him?
I did not.
Okay. So Mr. Alt knowingly signed this document. He knew that he was filing a joint return.
Correct.
Now, on the basis of that joint return, you did have a significant tax debt.
Correct.
Okay. And initially that tax debt was, I believe he testified between 29 and 30,000. Is that accurate?
Based on the form you had up, yes.
Okay. Now, did you all immediately pay that off?
No, we did not.
Okay. And did it accrue fees, interest, and penalties along the way?
It did.
Okay, I'm looking at what's marked as V. Now, this was back a while back on May of 2025, so shortly after the filing. What was the balance as of May?
36,952 and 77 cents.
Okay. Have you made payments on that tax debt since May of 2025?
Yes, in the form of I have filed my taxes for 22 and 23, and my credits were supposed to apply to my 24 deficit. Instead, due to the fact that we had an outstanding balance, my almost $8,000 credits went to the back tax for 2021.
Okay. And so it's your testimony that the difference between the approximately almost $37,000 that shows as of May when you guys separated, or shortly after you guys separated, to the point now where Mr. Alt listed the joint tax burden on his bankruptcy at between 28 and 29,000. That's the difference, was the payments that you had because they took your tax money from other tax years.
That's correct. That's what the IRS sent me in the mail.
Okay. And again, it's your understanding that the balance is still approximately 29,000.
Correct, as far as I know.
Okay. And again, Mr. Alt believes that that's somehow should be partially premarital to you versus marital. Do you agree with that?
I do not.
Do you believe that that's a marital debt?
I do believe that.
Okay. And again, that should be jointly divided.
Correct.
Okay. Now you each had separate credit cards during the marriage. Is that correct?
That is correct. No, I did not have credit cards I'm sorry, I did have 2 later in the marriage, but yes, we each had separate cards. No,
Did you ever have, that was my next question. Did you ever have joint credit cards?
no,
Okay. And did you ever take out a credit card in Mr. Alt's name without his knowledge?
no, I did not.
There was a Discover card that Mr. Alt said he had absolutely no idea that that existed. Is that accurate?
That is not accurate.
Can you tell me about the Discover card? Did Mr. Alt take that out?
We sat down on the couch together, had a discussion about taking out a card because we did a lot of snowmobiling, traveling, things like that. And it had a high bonus level on it to, you use it and then you get the points back. So that was the purpose of taking out that card initially.
Okay. And was Mr. Alt aware of it?
He was.
Is there a reason it was in his name versus yours?
We were trying to keep my credit and income is as low as possible, as our plan was to purchase some property and buy or build a bigger home.
Okay. Back when you all were still dating and before you got married, do you recall looking at and purchasing a snowmobile and a trailer to go with it?
I do.
Okay. Can you tell me the circumstances of that?
Yes, I believe. I'm not sure which one came first. We had, Bob had already had a snowmobile. We had talked for, the year prior if I would enjoy doing something like that. I said yes. So we had researched snowmobiles for quite some time, snow checked the one in question that, the Yamaha, I believe. So then we snow checked it and then got confirmation that it had arrived, and I went to the bank and got a cashier's check. And,
Okay. I'm gonna stop you right there.
Okay,
So Mr. Alt already had a snowmobile. Is that the 2017 Polaris?
that is correct.
Okay. And so you wanted to buy a snowmobile so you could snowmobile with him. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And is that the 2021 Yamaha?
That is correct.
Okay. And when I'm looking at Exhibit R, there is a receipt from Platinum Power Sports. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me, it was for $16,600. Can you tell me how Mr. Alt's name got placed on the registration for that snowmobile?
I can. When the snowmobile came in, he had let me know it was in. I had never purchased a snowmobile before that, wasn't, $1,000 or whatever. I had no idea that it was, a titled item, or that it was even an issue. So, I got the total from him. I went and got the cashier's check. He went and picked it up and came back with it. And it was about 2 weeks later that a title came in the mail in his name.
Okay. Now, again, you said you got the check. Where did the check come from?
My checking account, my personal checking account.
Okay. And that's in the amount of $16,606.
That is correct.
And again, this is before the marriage.
Correct.
You guys didn't have a joint account. This was your sole account.
Correct.
And Mr. Alt did not have any ability to deposit, withdraw, or have anything to do with your bank account.
Not at that time.
Okay. And again, that is the checks that are in Exhibit R.
Correct.
Now, when you found out that it was titled in his name, did that concern you?
It did.
Did you discuss that with Mr. Alt?
I did.
And what was the resolution to that?
He had said that he would have that changed, and we talked about it several times, and yes, we got married and I just kind of gave up on it.
Okay. That snowmobile was purchased entirely by your funds.
Correct.
Did you at any time intend that to be gifted to Mr. Alt?
Absolutely not.
Was your intention for that to be Mr. Alt's snowmobile?
I was fine with riding either snowmobile, but I made it very clear that if we were to break up, well, that would be my property.
Okay. At the same time or near the same time, did you also purchase a trailer?
Yes.
And was that to pull that snowmobile?
Correct.
Okay, and I'm looking at Exhibit S. And again, this was in October of 2020.
Correct.
Again, before the marriage.
Correct.
You guys were just dating. And I'm looking at a check for the amount of $10,785 or $785.40. Where was that check cut from?
I believe my primary checking account.
Okay. And on that exhibit, it notes there's Bob Alt is handwritten on the check. Can you tell me why that was written on there?
When we were at the dealership, I did not have my ID with me and he did because he drove. So they just asked us to write his name on there for reference.
So that they could match it up.
Correct.
Okay. And on that trailer, it was titled to both Robert and you.
Correct.
And can you tell me why it was registered to both of you if only you were funding it?
Yes, I did not have my identification on me. I even made a couple phone calls to try to see if somebody from home could get it to me. And without an identification, you cannot put your name on a registration.
Okay. And so again, his name was added because you didn't have an ID for them to put on the registration.
That is correct.
Did you intend that this was supposed to be a joint trailer?
No,
Did Mr. Alt contribute any money to that?
no,
Did Mr. Alt give you cash from a safe that had approximately $50,000 in it so that you could put the money into your account, write a check or take a cashier's check out of your account and take it with you to get these snowmobiles?
no, and my account reflects that as well.
Okay. So at no time did he give you money to buy these
No,
items? And is it your position that those should be granted to you as your separate property,
absolutely, yes.
as they were funded entirely by you prior to the marriage?
Yes,
Is it your position that both parties should retain the bank accounts that are either in their name or in their business names?
yes,
Okay. Is it your position that the parties should each be responsible for their own credit card debt?
yes,
You have a Lexus, a 2015 Lexus GX. That's titled in both names. Is that correct?
correct.
Why was that titled in both names?
I believe it was because Bob was a Lake Michigan Credit Union member, and that is where we did the financing through. So I believe that's why his name had to go on it.
Okay. And who's the loan in? Is it in your name, Bob's name, or both?
It's in both of our names.
Okay. Now, obviously, you want to break all financial ties with Mr. Ald. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. And is it your proposal that you would pay that LMCU loan off and remove Bob from any liability and that you would be awarded that vehicle?
That is correct.
Okay. Mr. Alt has a 2022 Silverado 1500. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And I think he listed that he believes it's only worth 33,000. Do you believe that to be accurate?
I do not.
Is this like a base level vehicle?
Not after the additions that were put on it, substantially after purchase.
What kind of additions did he put on this truck?
A lift, new tires, bigger tires, blacked out. Anything that was chrome on it was blacked out. Windows were tinted. I think that's about it.
Okay.
Oh,
And-
there was a bed put on it too, a bed cover.
Okay. And you have no issue with Mr. Alt being awarded that truck, do you?
I do not.
Okay. And again, that loan is strictly in his name. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you would ask that he be awarded that truck subject to the loan.
That is correct.
And do you believe that there is equity? His bankruptcy filing indicates that it's a wash. Do you believe that that's a wash?
I do not.
How much equity do you think is in the truck?
Not a car salesperson. However, with the additions and what put on it, I would say at least 5,000.
No, object on the basis of foundation here.
Ms. Terpster, you want to,
Again, I would say she testified she's not a car salesman. It's her belief based on the purchases and the additions that were expended. That's how she's coming up with that number.
I'll sustain the objection unless she's got a blue book or something that she's relying on. It's pure speculation.
That's fine. On the 2008 Harley Davidson, Mr. Alt testified that he had purchased that prior to the marriage. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Did you put any marital money into that?
Yes,
And he had testified that he bought a new motor for $8,000. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And that went into that?
That's correct.
Was that the only marital money that went into that bike?
No.
What else was done to the bike during the course of the marriage?
I have a list, however, pretty much every single thing you can imagine. New wiring, new speakers, new amps. I don't know, I'm not a bike, again, I'm not a bike person. New paint job, every single thing that you can imagine to renew that bike was done.
Besides the $8,000 that was spent on the motor, how much more money was poured into that bike?
Bob and I had discussed that approximately $25,000.
Okay. So do you think a $3,500 is a fair, reasonable number for the Harley?
I do not.
Okay. Would you expect that it would be at least worth the $8,000 of the motor? Since that was just recently purchased.
In speaking to a couple of dealerships, yes, and more.
Okay. The 2017 Polaris snowmobile, that was his prior to marriage, is that correct?
Correct.
And again, he had purchased that prior to. Were there any additions? I believe he reflected that there was a motor that was also purchased for that.
The motor blew and we replaced the motor. That is correct.
Okay. Was there any other additions or additional marital monies that were poured into that snowmobile?
Approximately 5,000, but I don't think it was more than the motor and the work done.
Okay. And then the 2004 Honda Quad.
Other than having a little bit of work done on it to get it to start, I don't believe there was any marital money put
Okay.
into it.
And that is, that was his premarital
Correct.
prior to.
Correct.
Okay. Now the John Deere tractor, that was purchased prior to the marriage, correct?
Correct.
And that was in his name.
Correct.
Can you tell me why that was in his name?
I think he went to pick it up, and just the dealership financed it in his name.
And who made the payments on that?
I made every single payment out of my personal bank account.
And that final payment prior to the marriage back in April, who made that final payment?
I did out of my personal bank account.
And again, are you asking that the court award you that John Deere as you paid for it with premarital funds?
Yes.
You all signed a power of attorney, or let me ask you this. I'm looking at Exhibit T. That was a durable financial power of attorney that Bob Alt signed. It was witnessed by 2 separate witnesses and notarized by a third. Do you recall signing that power of attorney or having him sign that power of attorney?
I do.
And do you recall why that power of attorney was signed?
I do.
And can you tell the court why?
We discussed wills with him not having children and us not being married and money that was put in. We discussed that I was dealing with all the financials and I wasn't able to do so without some of them without permission. We created a will. We each created a will and we each had medical directives done and we each had power of attorneys.
So not only did Bob sign a power of attorney to you, you likewise signed the same financial durable power to Mr. Alt.
That is correct.
And again, same thing with the medical. You both signed giving the other that power.
That is correct.
So it was equal.
Correct.
Okay. And again, when I have you look at the signature on that durable power of attorney, which is page 9, is that Mr. Alt's signature?
Yes, it matches the rest of them.
Okay. And again, that signature looks almost identical to the signature that was on the tax return and other documents that he has signed.
Being a specialist, yes, I would say so.
And when you all signed these, were you there together signing all of these documents?
We were.
Okay. So you were likewise witnessed signing your financial power of attorney to him. You sat there and you executed them all at the same time. The will, medical power of attorney, and the financial power of attorney.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you about the retirement that Mr. Alt testified that he had absolutely no knowledge of being cashed out.
Mhm.
Did Mr. Alt know, and did he approve and authorize those withdrawals?
He did.
Okay. And Mr. Alt testified that he believed the one was from NEAP was $60,000. Do you believe there was $60,000 and that $25,000 came out of that?
No,
Did Mr. Alt have to sign paperwork in order to make those withdrawals?
he did.
And when those withdrawals came, I'm looking at what's marked as Exhibit O. So at the time, looking first at his 174 401k, first of all, it wasn't a pension, it was a 401k. When he cashed out his 401k, and that was in early 2024, did Mr. Alt authorize that?
He did.
What was the circumstances on why you were taking out that money?
Which dollar amount was that?
That was about 21. And I believe that the check from that, that was the Empower, so that was Exhibit OI.
I believe at that time we were doing like some other things with the house. We were struggling financially. We needed a new roof. Our AC unit was going, and at the same time, I believe it was like towards close to summer. It was cheaper to go ahead and do the roof and AC at the same time.
Okay. And the cash out amount, as per Exhibit OI, do you recognize that check?
I do.
And that was for $16,254.59.
Correct.
And the difference between the 21 and change that was in the account that was taken out and the 16,524.59, do you recall what that difference was made up of?
Yes, we had withheld the taxes at that time, so we didn't have to do it at tax filing time.
Okay. And you received the check for $16,524.59. Did you deposit those funds?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, and again, I'm looking at OI page number 2, where did the 16,000 and change go?
12,524.59 went into our joint savings. 4,000 went into our joint checking account.
Okay. And again, if I look at page 3, that shows the deposit going into your joint savings account.
Correct.
And if I scroll a few more pages, looking at page 6, does that show the deposit into your joint account for the 4,000?
Yes, our joint checking.
Okay. Did you immediately take those funds and shift them to your account and spend them?
No, the bank account shows that that did not take place.
Okay. There was a second cash out in July, and that was of the larger of the two. And again, looking at OII, does that show, first of all, is that the check that you received for the NEAP cash out?
Correct.
And what was the amount?
$35,894.13.
And again, where was that deposited?
That was deposited solely into our joint savings account.
Okay. And again, if I look, do you see that going in on page 3 of the bank statement?
I do.
Okay. And again, that's your joint. If I go back to page 2, that's a joint account.
Correct.
All right. What were those funds utilized for?
Those funds were to pay the tax debt that we had, the IRS debt.
Did that debt get paid
It did
with
not.
that? Can you tell me where'd the money go?
The money went everywhere. It went to gun and ammo purchases. It went to vacations. It went to this. It went to that. It was frivolous, irresponsible spending by both of us.
Okay. Did you take his cash and run?
Absolutely not.
And again, we do have attached as well. You've provided the court all of the bank statements at or about that time.
Correct.
The court goes through those bank statements. Are they going to see a huge transfer to your account and then you spending the money?
There are 2 transfers going from that account into our joint checking account.
And in fact, there was about approximately a $10,000 check at or around one of these deposits that paid for your roof. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
So that's where 10,000 went. When you scrolled through the bank accounts, was there any defining payment that you could find on anything else that these monies paid for?
I believe we did pay a $5,000 towards the IRS. We took out money for the roof, and we took around approximately 10,000 for the roof, and approximately, I believe, was 8,500 for the AC and furnace.
Okay, so that's 18,000 of it. Did you pay down any credit card?
Yes, paid down his Harley card, the US Bank card, 5,000 on that.
Okay. Beyond that, the money just basically went?
It went.
Okay. At any point, did you fraudulently misappropriate those funds?
No,
Was Mr. Alt aware at all times of what was happening with that money?
I believe he was.
Okay.
I believe he actually withdrew a couple of them for the updates.
Okay. Now, as far as what your proposal is to this court for, because obviously what you had initially asked for as a breakdown of the marital estate prior to Mr. Alt's filing for bankruptcy has changed. Is that correct?
It has.
Okay. And as far as how you would like the court to address the marital estate, how are you requesting that the court dispose of the marital estate? What do you want the court to do with the marital home?
I would like the home to be deeded to me and to sell.
Okay.
And
And out of the proceeds from the sale of the home, what all would be paid?
the IRS debt will be paid and my vehicle will be paid off.
Okay. And the mortgage,
The mortgage, of course.
obviously.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, if the house sells for $475, after you pay for realtor closing costs and all of that, and you pay off the tax debt, are you going to have a huge amount of money?
No,
Okay. And again, you would also pay off the vehicle so that Mr. Ald is removed from that.
correct.
Do you believe that there will be more or less after those payments than $46,000?
Way less.
Okay. And Mr. Alt has received $46,000 from the union in back wages.
Correct.
And since you were carrying him for all those months while he was off, it's your belief that that was incurred during the marriage, even though it didn't get paid until, well, it's still during marriage, but even though it didn't get paid till October.
2 years and 7 months of it, I do believe should be half of that should be mine.
Okay. And again, during the entire time from his accident until you ultimately are divorced, you've been carrying the vast majority of the financial burden.
Correct.
Now, Mr. Alt disclosed roughly, I believe, let me look, I want to verify, a limited amount of guns that he owns on his VFIF.
Correct.
Do you believe that that's an accurate amount for the guns that he has?
No, I have inventory and I have receipts for guns that were purchased during the marital time that are disclosed as premarital.
Okay. He does list approximately 15,000. Do you believe that that's accurate?
Absolutely not.
Mr. Alt also alleged that you stole guns, ammo, reloading equipment, archery equipment, hunting equipment. Did you take anything that was guns, ammo, hunting, archery, any of that from the marital home?
No, I did not. If guns were stolen, it should have been reported as a felony.
In fact, when you left the marital home, did you have anyone come and observe, looking at the safe, closing the safe, and ensuring that the guns were all there?
2 deputies and 2 other witnesses.
So you had deputies and witnesses watching you go through the safe and ensure that all those guns were back in the safe.
Just before midnight on the day I had to be out of the home.
And was there a reason that you wanted third parties to observe and make sure that that was all locked up?
I think based on the history of the relationship and the behavior, that I wanted to make sure that I was covered.
Okay. During the marriage, was Mr. Alt abusive towards you?
Yes, he was.
Can you describe what sort of abuse you suffered from Mr. Alt during the marriage?
Oh, verbal, mental, hair pulling, shoving, cornering, spitting on. Obviously affairs. I think that I could go down rabbit holes, so I think that pretty much sums up the majority.
What-
Choking.
What finally caused you to decide enough was enough?
Aside from him bullying and running my 3 younger children out of the home, I had discovered that he was communicating with prostitutes, and further on from that, the abuse got a little bit more aggressive, where referring, which not to get into the PPO, but where he had choked me, and while I was having a blood pressure incident, came in, choked me in the middle of the night in my sleep, and I had had enough at that point.
Okay. Do you believe that if there is any unequal distribution because of the abuse that you suffered from Mr. Alt, that should weigh in your favor?
I think abuse or not, the distribution should weigh in my favor based on what I have into it, what I've paid for.
Okay. Now, Mr. Alt, days before the trial, filed for bankruptcy.
Correct.
Have you had to incur additional expenses in order to get this divorce finalized in the bankruptcy court?
Currently $4,000, and to complete it after we are done here, it will be an additional $1,000, so $5,000 in bankruptcy attorney fees to lift it and complete it.
And that's just to get this
Yep.
divorce done.
That is correct.
Okay. And are you asking that likewise be included in the court's consideration in the property division?
I am.
So going through, you're asking the court to award you the house entirely,
Correct.
and that all equity be awarded to you,
Correct.
that the mortgage would be paid out of that, the joint tax debt would be entirely paid out of that.
That is correct.
And again, that's at approximately 30,000.
Correct.
And look, I want to say the outstanding mortgage and the buyout for the home as of January was approximately 353,000. Is that correct?
This is the most current one. Yeah.
And that would be exhibit. Sorry. The appraisal closing refi. That would be exhibit K, showing approximately 353,000. Is that correct?
As
As of January.
Correct.
And has there been additional interest or charges that have accrued since January?
Yes, the new current payoff is about 3,000 higher.
Okay. And again, that would all be paid out of the sale of the home.
Correct.
And you are asking that each party receive their bank accounts free and clear of the other party.
Correct.
You're asking for the 2021 Yamaha snowmobile and trailer.
Correct.
And you're asking that be awarded as your premarital property, correct?
That is correct.
You're asking that the Lexus be awarded to you
That is correct.
and that loan would be paid off out of the house proceeds.
Correct.
You're asking that the John Deere be awarded to you.
That is correct.
You're asking that the hot tub be awarded to you.
Correct.
From the personal property, Mr. Alt alleges that you took everything when you left. Did you take everything when you left?
I took only my children's rooms and 2 antique items, and the appraisal will reflect the whole house was furnished, including wall furnishings.
So again, if the court were to look at the appraisal that was done in August of 2025, it does show a furnished home and that there is multiple TVs, couches, and other items that were in the home.
I didn't take a fork.
Okay. Are you asking for anything from the home as far as personal property?
I would like the gray couch upstairs and a barn TV stand.
Did you,
There is a treasure chest that is under the sliding barn that are keepsake, mother-daughter keepsakes that my 25-year-old daughter had been collecting since she was very young for me.
so those are not yours? That's your daughter's?
They're gifts. They were gifts to me
Okay.
from her.
And then you had, and Mr. Alt had also stated that you had requested a Cobalt toolbox. That was again premarital.
Yes, that is actually my son's.
Did you ever gift that to Mr. Alt, as he stated?
No, it was at my sister's and it needed a place to be. And I told him he could use it until Taylor was of age to move out, and then it would be given back to Taylor.
Now, you have a whole separate barn on the property along with the house, is that correct?
That's correct.
And is that absolutely full of tools and other items?
Yes, documented, videoed, packed full of tools, extra Harley parts, amplifiers, you name it, speakers, it's packed full of.
And you don't want any of that?
I don't want any of it.
Mr. Alt could be awarded an entire barn full of tools, amplifiers, and all his stuff.
Correct.
He had put what he believed the marital personal property, household furnishing, tools, and all of that on his bankruptcy. He'd listed that as worth about $1,000. Do you believe that's accurate?
No, considering we bought a $2,000 couch and a $2,000 mattress months before the separation.
And those are both still with him?
Correct.
And you're not asking for those? Are you also asking that Mr. Alt return the iPhone that's attached to your account?
Yes, I could care less about the iPhone, but I've been paying $140 a month since the separation because of the contract, and until the phone's turned in, I will have to continue to pay that.
And again, he got himself a new phone and changed his number shortly after the filing, is that correct?
That's correct.
So he has no use for that,
Correct.
other than to continue for you to incur charges.
Right.
And do you agree that Robert would be awarded the full $46,000 he received in back wages?
Yes.
You also don't dispute that the $27,000 or $28,000 that he received in Social Security disability after the separation would be entirely his property, and you're not laying any claim to that?
No, I'm not.
You are in agreement that he should be awarded the Silverado,
Correct.
subject to his loan.
Correct.
He would be awarded the Harley Davidson,
Correct.
his 2017 Polaris.
Correct.
And again, you believe that the Harley Davidson is worth a minimum of $8,000?
I was told a minimum of 12 to 15,000.
And the Polaris, I believe by his own declaration, is worth $4,000.
I would have no idea on that one, to be honest.
And the Honda Quad is worth about $3,500.
Again, I wouldn't know that.
But that was based on his own sworn statements, correct?
Correct.
And he would receive all of the household furnishings except the very specific list that you just put,
Yep, everything.
and all his credit card debt.
Correct.
There's a Micah Myers bill that he incurred fighting a PPO against your daughter. Do you believe that should be his responsibility or your responsibility?
His responsibility.
And do you know the approximate amount?
Just under 5,000.
And then he would be awarded again everything in that shed garage, correct?
Yes, including guns, ammo, and all of his reloading things.
And based on the list of guns that you have and the pictures you have taken, do you believe that the 15,000 is accurate, or is it higher than that?
I have, I believe, was it 30,000 in inventory? That is only marital inventory. I did not inventory any of his other guns that he had or any of his ammo he had prior to the marriage.
And again, if the court wanted to flip through his credit card statements and his bank statements, they would see repeated gun after gun after gun purchase, reloading purchases, that primarily that 30,000+ that he has incurred in credit card debt since the separation has been primarily steroids, guns, reloading.
I have provided statements that show at least 8 to 10,000 a year just on guns and ammo.
I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Well, it is 5:33, I can't keep going at this point, and Ms. Spencer has not had the opportunity to cross-examine, so we're gonna have to give you some more time. Ms. Van Noller, do you have some times available?
Yeah, so first available would be March 25th at 11.
Yep. Let me look. March 25th at 11.
I just had a hearing scheduled for that day today.
We have March 27th at 2.
I have a hearing that afternoon. Sorry.
We have March 31st at 11.
That works for me.
30. Oops, I went too far. Hold on. March. Hold on. March 31st. That works for me. March 31st at 11.
Yes, March 31st at 11, and I believe Judge stated it would be an additional hour to wrap things up.
Okay.
It will be at the same Zoom ID. I will just move the invite, so be ready.